What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Notre Dame, one step away from appearing in the national championship game. First time since 2012. The Fighting Irish claimed a 23-10 win over Georgia in last night's Sugar Bowl. Bulldogs quarterback Gunnar Stockton helped Georgia open scoring in its first following the start by Carson Beck's season-ending elbow injury. The game turned when the Fighting Irish scored 10 points on consecutive plays late in the first half. Notre Dame improves to 6-0 against ranked opponents in Marcus Freeman's third full season with the team. Only Penn State now stands between the Fighting Irish and a spot in the national championship game. Pro Bowl rosters were announced yesterday. No Titans were on the initial Pro Bowl roster, but 4 were named as alternates: Jeffrey Simmons, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, and Ryan Stonehouse. Titans also play their final game of the season this Sunday. Kayla Anderson, Blaine Bishop, Brad Hopkins, and Buck Rising have you covered on Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff before the game. Titans Radio takes over after that. Coach Mack, Mike Keith, Rhett Bryan, and the rest of the Titans Radio crew gets you everything you need to know before kickoff at noon. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning as we welcome you to the first Friday of 2025 on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh makes the show happen as we round the corner, the final mile marker, the finish line of the 2024 and 2025 NFL season. What is the best case scenario for the Tennessee Titans on Friday against the Houston Texans? We'll dive into that. We've got Tennessee continuing to shop in the transfer portal as they get a prediction for a former Alabama receiver, yet might be losing one of their own as early as today. We'll dive into that this morning, and we would like to please welcome to the first tee, now teeing off, the Georgia Bulldogs. Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Morning.
Morning, good people. Georgia Bulldogs. Goodness gracious, man. What a game. It was exciting for the most part in the first half, and things kind of shifted after that. Kirby just didn't have enough. Marcus Freeman has a real solid team, man. You got to give it to him. Both defenses, I feel like, are championship-style defenses, man, and I was glad to have a little bit of football yesterday. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I know. It was, a 3 o'clock start or so, and I'm thinking this is perfect timing because by the time it got done, you still had, a little bit of time to wind down if you're on an early schedule.
Right.
So it was nice to have a little football tapped off with Ole Miss and Duke in the bowl game. So when it comes to that game, though, guys, just not enough, like you said. If you look at the final college football teams, including Georgia, that just got bounced, a lot of good defenses when you think about it. I mean, every single team you talk about that has made it this far has had a pretty good defensive team, and now we'll see that in the semifinals as well. But I just feel like Gunnar Stockton, and I know with all the flowers that he was given, in high school and all the accolades, it is a different level. And when you are preparing for the biggest of big stages, yes, Kirby Smart can do all he can. Mike Bobo can do all he can. But when it comes down to it, when you got a Notre Dame defense like there that's trying to prove a point, they're trying to prove they belong too. I think it's hard on a first-time, quarterback in terms of really starting in that moment.
I thought he was terrific.
I didn't think he was that terrific. I saw a good bit of freshman out of him.
I'm surprised to hear that's where y'all start this morning.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of freshman out of him. His lack of understanding, I think he can be good. I think he has some good plays here and there, but his lack of understanding, his inexperience, I think showed. It showed earlier in the game as opposed to later in the game.
Sure.
He could spin it for sure, but his ability to pull the football, and he didn't realize that the edge closes that quick. He's got a little ways to go as far as the understanding. Experience was not in his favor yesterday. His ability to play ball, to your point, I think Georgia's going to be fine.
Because his receivers, I will add that in, and that's definitely a part of it, is his receivers, and this has been the case all year long with Georgia, have issues catching the ball. And there were definitely some of those balls that
Dylan
needed
Bell.
to be catched.
Oh, my gosh. 86, Dylan Bell had a big old case of the dropsies yesterday.
I saw a team that couldn't catch and couldn't block and had a freshman quarterback that played better than I expected him to, honestly.
That left tackle at Georgia was getting worked yesterday.
And they reshuffled the line coming in for the second half. Like, when you are moving around the offensive line at halftime, things are not going well. That staff misses Matt Luke, I think, significantly. And the level of offensive linemen they have recruited over the past 2 cycles, I think, reared its ugly head, because we said it leading up to the game. Notre Dame is built like an SEC team on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And they proved it. They absolutely proved it.
Yeah.
They were all over him, man, from the beginning of the game.
Chance.
Yeah, they absolutely had no. What is it? Tui Halamaka was balling over that left tackle yesterday. Yeah, I got it right. Junior Tui Halamaka. He was balling yesterday. Man, I actually thought he should have ended up getting the MVP of the game right there, the defensive MVP. He played lights out for the most part of that game, but they ended up giving it to Xavier Watts. I get it. Absolutely get it. But their defensive line was getting after him. And then not only on top of that, they had the ability yesterday, man. Bryce Young, number 30, that big old DN up there.
And we're not talking about the quarterback.
Not the quarterback. Hey, he reminds me of Dietrich Wise that plays for the Patriots. Big old long guy, man. He had, and I was getting upset with him, like, why are you continually running into the punter? But he's also got 3 block punts
this year.
Yes, he's got 3 block punts. So that's a skill of his that he's really sharpened, man. But you can tell they were piped up on playing that game. They were up. They knew they could stay in the same arena as Georgia. And it looked like it. The play calls, the way they ran Riley Leonard across in spots. It was good. And the fact that, ETN absolutely got nothing in the run game.
No, and what did I say yesterday? I said you got to find a way to run the ball, which Georgia has not done consistently well this season, and that's always been a big trademark of them that has made them successful in the past. We can name all the backs, too, that have been so solid there. Also mistakes, guys. You cannot have the crucial mistakes going into a half like that where you're giving the ball back to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish right before to score, and then coming out of the half and allowing a return like that. I think those were obviously the 2 game-changing moments. Yeah,
it was. And then, of course, Georgia throwing that fade at the end. I was just thinking to myself, there has to be a receiver on that roster that can make a play for him, and it absolutely wasn't. He stumbled and fumbled onto the ground, and that was the ball game right there. They played a solid friggin' game yesterday, man. They abused them on the ground and through the air. And again, I was impressed by both defenses. That's what I hope the Vols get to at some point, because everything that they got, it was just that. If you threw for a 6 or 8 yard pass, that's all you were getting. It wasn't many broken tackles or having the ability to extend plays, maybe 1 or 2 times over the course of the game, but it wasn't consistency of them giving up a 2-yard slant to a 15-yard run. That didn't happen yesterday. They were very sound. They were disciplined, other than my guy Bryce Young running into the punter 2 times, but it didn't affect them. I thought that first one should have been a 15-yarder. Yep. They got away with it.
I did too.
Should have been a 15-yarder.
And then it happened again. That wasn't as bad, but the first one should have been.
It was. And if I'm a Notre Dame also, considering what the checks are getting, I wouldn't join a conference either. That whole $14 million goes to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Insane.
That's wild to think about.
It is a perfect setup, no doubt about it. All 4 teams of the bye week lost.
Wow.
All the top 4 seeds are out. Texas, the highest seed remaining in the Final 4.
I also look at them, too, and just say, well, the other teams was just better. I thought Texas was better than Arizona State.
Vegas picked every winner correctly.
Yeah.
The favorite in terms of Vegas won all of them. I think the bye week thing is way overblown.
Yeah, it was.
Way overblown, because a better system that actually rewards the better teams would not have let that happen. No. Like the fact that Boise State and Arizona State got to just have a water slide to a first-round bye, while teams better than them, like many teams better than them, not just the 2 that they played, had to play in the first round. That's why the teams of the bye weeks lost. I think way too much is being made about that.
Yeah, that's just a topic right there that people want to push. No, it has nothing to do with it.
100%.
Georgia wasn't ready for what they like. The receivers aren't there. The running backs, the offensive line wasn't there either. Like that's one of the few times in recent history, Georgia, where their offensive lines just got bodied.
It's a problem that popped up this year.
It did.
No doubt about
it. They simply just got bodied, man. The fact that Georgia Bulldog don't have a left tackle.
They stopped recruiting elite offensive linemen. did.
I guess. Like, what are they expecting?
I mean, you can look at the star ratings, and they don't have Matt Luke anymore, who's at Clemson, who's one of the best offensive line coaches in the SEC.
For a while, has he? Or
couple years.
Or so?
I believe this is year 2 without him.
He's chasing his kid around travel baseball right now.
Right?
Well, he's at Clemson.
Is he at Clemson?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
That's what I just said, yeah.
No, I saw it. Well, he took a gap year or something, I thought.
Joined Clemson in December 2023.
Remember, I texted you one summer. I was like, man, I just ran into Matt Luke.
I mean, he's probably doing the travel baseball thing and the coaching thing.
I think he just left Georgia at that time, though. But either way, if that's the case, then they got big problems on their hand. That left tackle yesterday, what was it, 55, if I'm not mistaken, 55, 52. He was a turnstile. I'm looking at him rush, and my God, let me look at his name and get it together again. Tui Halamaka. Bang. Okay, Tui Halamaka. He reached his left arm. He's a left tackle, so you never give up the left arm. He gave up the left arm, and dude's hips was as tight as a vice grip. He couldn't open them up and slide. And at that point, Tui Halamaka, man, got around the edge and just sacked him. I think that was the one for the strip fumble right there. There was absolutely nothing he could do. And all I'm thinking to myself, like, you big G. You big Georgia. This doesn't happen to you guys. Like,
it didn't look like the Georgia that we've known.
It doesn't. And then on top of that, it just got bodied in the run game, too. Like, there was a lot of negativity that went that way. But I'll say this, too. Georgia's defense also provided Notre Dame with a lot of negativity. Yeah. What came out of the second half for Notre Dame, I mean, a 98-yard return.
Is pretty much it, right?
Yeah, that pretty much nailed in the coffin.
I mean,
for the
Riley
most
Leonard
part.
was doing everything he could to make something happen.
Young man was balling.
With his legs.
With his legs.
14 carries, 80 yards. He nearly had more rushing yards than he did passing yards. Only threw for 90 yards.
Very
in that game yesterday.
Yeah, very strategic, man. They were all over. It was a good game. I did think it was good on good, despite Notre Dame having the edge on how the play and flow of the game went. For the most part, it was 0-0 before all through the first quarter, and then it was 10-3 going into the halftime, or 17-3. Either way, for the most part.
13-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, they scored that 13-3.
It was a good matchup, I thought. Georgia just isn't there right now. And I don't know, to that point, Will, if they're not recruiting the same caliber of offensive linemen, I don't know how they're going to get that back then, because everybody else, what we're realizing now, everybody's got a bag. Everybody wants to win. And now it's become like recruiting is more nationwide because of the bags.
Yeah, you could also just not have Mike Bobo be your OC.
Exactly.
It's a good way to cover up your offensive line issues. And he wasn't the biggest issue. Mike Bobo can't catch the ball for you. No. But it certainly doesn't help an offense that was already anemic without good line play. The fact that you've got a not so elite offensive coordinator running things.
Yeah, because those wide receivers did not improve at all throughout the year. Like, it's one thing to have a couple drops, some bad.
They led college football in drops.
It was bad all season.
That's terrible. On the other side, too, I love how fan bases find what their future is, too. I think there was four young men who were in the tunnel walking out. I think they just recruited. It's like help is on the way. They apparently got a quad coming in that's supposed to be really, really good. I'm not sure if they're transfers or high schoolers, but they're supposed to be that good. But that won't mean nothing.
SOS.
If they can't, it won't mean a thing if they can't protect their quarterback next year. I think Gunnar Stockton, to your point, Will, he's going to be fine. He's just got a lack of experience right now.
How do y'all feel about late Christmas presents?
I'm okay with them.
I ordered this in November of last year, and they just got to my house yesterday. Ramon, if you would like to distribute those, they're underneath the Smoky. It is Burt's Bic.
Oh, my God.
Everyone gets their own personalized Burt's lighter. So anytime you need to smoke a cig, light a candle, anything that you would need a lighter for, you have your own Burt's Bic now.
Oh, my gosh.
That is awesome.
This is terrific.
Well done. It is.
Nice.
Very well done.
Glad you enjoy
Can we
it.
take it back to 2008 real quick?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Lil Wayne.
So funny.
As long as you don't light your mic sock
Way
on
too
fire.
close to the
Can you
microphone.
imagine if that
That's
thing just
way-
lit up in front of you?
Way too close for 6:15 in the morning.
When
to the
Wayne
microphone.
used to strike that, when he used to strike that lighter,
You knew it was on.
you knew it was gas coming out, baby.
He's lighting a candle too. Thank you, Bert.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
it's not much,
sweet.
but it's
That's
something.
sweet, Bert.
I wanted to get everybody something, a little gag gift. So
That's pretty sweet.
hope you dig
man.
it.
This I've never seen. I didn't even know this was possible. Like,
I didn't
how
either.
did you even know
It's always
this?
Oh,
possible.
it ain't quick. I tell you that it ain't quick, but she'll get them to you. She was
So
a
there's
wonderful.
a warning? on it, it says?
Oh, the back of it, yeah, it says warning, do not smoke in front of the sign. And I'm just smoking right in front of that sign.
I took a picture of one of those in Neyland Stadium after the Alabama game.
Yeah,
My cigar lit in front of a no smoking sign
You
at
can't
Neyland
help
Stadium.
it. If you ever see them out and you're smoking, you're like, I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to smoke in front of this thing.
I'm going to smoke even harder.
Bert, I think you got to be
Scott.
bold and confident as hell. You know why? You sent your picture out to some people that don't know you, and can you imagine somebody said, "Oh, who is this?"
Yeah, what the hell? I put this on a light. I'm putting a picture of a Care Bear on here. This is getting paid.
Now, you're a handsome young man, okay? I just want to throw that out there. But, like, to just throw your portrait out there to people to put them on lighters, Bert, somebody might have either.
Well, about the month and a half mark, I was like, this woman just took my money, didn't she?
That's pretty good. But she got them to you.
Yeah, she got him. We got
Carried
him.
out the
That's
task.
pretty dope.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. That's all.
Nice, Bert. Love it. He might become famous with this, too. You never know.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, Albert Breer at SI.com has posted new insight into Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon's job security as of this morning. 7 minutes ago, hot off the presses. We'll tell you what we learned next. RKW on 104.5 The Zone, kicking off your Friday morning. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, heading into week 18 of the NFL season. Guys, this time exactly a year ago, we didn't really think Mike Vrabel could get fired until things quickly changed and quickly progressed after a win to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, Albert Breer and Connor Orr of SI.com have written what we are hearing 3 days before Black Monday in the NFL. And the Titans are the second bullet point. Usually you got to dig a little bit. You hit Control F, you search Titans. Usually you go to the bottom of the article, and it's like the last possible blurb. Oh, by the way, da-da-da's on the hot seat. Like whatever.
It was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on ESPN.com. But today we have this at the very top that we will begin the show with this morning. Quote, knowing that Brian Callahan would soon interview at the homes of Arthur Blank and David Tepper last year, and with a shortage of proven offensive candidates in the market, the Titans zeroed in on the former Bengals OC pretty quickly, almost too quickly, as some other coaches who interviewed felt at the time. 1-3-13 season later, with a game still to play, we have reached a point where it's important to point out one thing. The Titans are set to complete the construction of their new stadium in 2027. Albert Breer adds, you can actually see how close they are via live cam. With the completion of a new stadium comes immense pressure for a team to sell tickets and have a kind of known identity that people will subscribe to. That's something we've spent a lot of time talking about on this show. Quote, this was absolutely the case during the gritty John Robinson and Mike Vrabel era, but Callahan may be facing an incredibly difficult situation ahead, needing to drastically improve a roster that has been done little to no favors so far during the Rand Carthon era. Carthon, too, could be feeling the heat for this in particular. That is Connor Orr of SI.com specifically writing that this morning about what they are hearing on the Titans. What do we think?
Yeah.
Initial reaction.
And so for me, I think that more so alludes to the next year in terms of really having to switch things and change things around, which is still, yes, an immense amount of pressure because it is a big turnaround in my eyes and you're getting a short amount of time to do it. But they also understood the situation coming into this, that the stadium was coming and there isn't a great roster and you've got to do work to improve it. So part of taking a job too is knowing that you're going to have that pressure, especially with this franchise right now and the losing that has happened. So for me, I do look at that more as next year, the heat is on and there could be a lot of changes next year if the improvement isn't good enough for this organization.
No doubt. No doubt. It seems to me initially like a lot of the national talking heads see this crew as expendable. Like every single person in the building right now is expendable because of the losing, because it's so fresh and new with the coach that you hired, with a GM that you brought in also. And the other side of it is for me, one, they're expendable, but two, they got to do a very quick like shifting of gears to zero in on what they're going to be. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be like, I think when you look at the pieces that, you know, this front office has brought in, you see talent. You see bodies that can make plays for you. But what is to that point that he brought in, like the John Robinson, Vrabel era, like what is the mentality? What is, when you talk about the Tennessee Titans, what do folks say? I had an extended conversation up in the press area with Bucky Brooks. And he was talking about the Jaguars because he covers them and stuff. And he was talking about the Titans. He was just like, man, you look, he's speaking about the Jags. Like, when you look at this team and, you know, they have this or they have that, he was like, they have no identity, really. He's like, and I'll be honest with you, the Titans, they were a squad that had an identity. You knew they were going to be nasty. You knew they was going to be gritty. He's like, and I don't know what's happened. So that, to me, is like the zeroing in on what your franchise wants to look like on the field has to be fair. Is it Jeff, right? Is it Levis? Who
it's
is
not
it?
Levis.
Well, I was trying to find another one quick. I was trying to find another one quick, Will. But they got to zero in on what their types are going to be moving forward.
And they weren't able to establish really that type of identity of any sort this season because of the inconsistency. So even if you wanted to zero in on your identity as being this offensive minded team, that's going to pass the ball a lot and whatever it might be, that did not happen because you had the inconsistent play at quarterback. And so you're right.
I'll add to that too, real quick too, because you're right. He is, but I feel like Will Levis is falling on this sword, both quarterbacks.
And I said, and I said both quarterback play has not been
I just
great.
wanted to add O-line in that equation too.
You have to.
Earlier in the season,
For sure.
like nobody really played their part, which is to that point, like, Kayla, who's doing their job well?
Not a lot of people.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think the talent is there. So, like, the concentration on, like, really sitting back and evaluating tape and saying, that's who we're looking for. I think when you look at a guy like J.C. Latham, you somewhat see that. Like, he ain't the conventional guy that you would have thought. You knew he had the talent, but at some point you got to get some bodies in and say, these are our pillars of success moving forward.
Right. And you had so many, like, signees, 2 to 1 year deals or short-term deals.
Exactly.
That's not really creating a clear identity either, because a lot of that does come from a couple years of winning or a couple years of established play.
Or trying to pull winning from other organizations and stuff like L'Jarius Sneak. Makes sense if you have a team that's built to sustain
Exactly.
him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's those type of situations right there. There's, like, money's been spent. Guys have been brought in. You know and love the names. Like, but is Kenneth Murray the type that you want? I think the answer is yes, but who's going to compliment him to make him look better too?
So at this point, guys, do you think Brian Callahan or Rand Carthon's jobs are in jeopardy moving forward into Sunday? Either one. Is it the same answer for each, or do you have different answers? Not what you think should happen, but do you think there is worry for either of them?
I do think there's worry. If you ask me that question, I say yes, there is worry. Do I think they're safe? Also, yes. I think if it could go bad on Sunday. Right? And somebody can become available that you like even more. Like, this job is NFL not for long is what we always say. And I think that goes to coaches too. That train will continue to move on and they'll find a hot body to put as a head coach or a GM. Would I be a little bit worried, Will, in this situation? Out of all the things I've heard about Miss Amy or whoever else that have to make these type of decisions, the answer is hell yeah. I'm not safe until I know we're booking our trips to the Senior Bowl. Like, that's just where I am at that point.
I think right now, this year, at this moment, Rand and Brian Callahan's jobs are safe. Now, they're safe in a way that I think there's going to be a very detailed discussion at the end of the year of the goals and expectations for next season, which is not going to make anything easier. So it's almost like, your jobs are safe right now, but I think next year the heat is completely turned up. And I think the only reason why I say that, guys, is because of the recent change and the amount of change that Amy Adams-Strunk has had on the franchise. I think at this point, if you just keep creating that, you're going to put yourself in a further hole possibly. And I know it's not guaranteed that this staff works out either, but I think because of the changes she just made, to GM and then the head coach, and then you have the turnaround the staff. She saw all that before her eyes too this year. I mean, they flipped the whole staff. The roster was 50% coming back, So I think she sees, do I want to go through all of that again? Or should I just be a little patient? Hey. So I don't think right now it's like the jobs are on the line.
I look at it as all news is good news still, though. Like, if you can move in and out of quarterbacks and figure out, okay, you find one, draft one till you find the right one, I think in today's era of trying to figure out how to win, it's somewhat the same as coaches, if you feel like it's that bad. But everybody, to your point, though, Kayla, like, you had to do a lot of shopping this offseason to figure out what the coaches want and all those types of things. I think there was a little bit more stability in what Vrabel had set in at the point, even through the losing. Like, you felt like he was more settled in. I don't even feel like Coach Callahan has even unpacked his boxes yet. So that's where I'm saying, like, I'm nervous about it, but at the same time, I feel like they'll both be back. All the parties will be back, considering how far you got to go.
I would say Callahan is safer than Rand Carthon at this point.
Right, and he's been here shorter time, too.
Yeah. Right. Well, been here for a year.
Yeah.
At this point. But, again, like, what I think they have to consider is this. If you're thinking about maybe firing them in 2026, go ahead and do it. Like, how often does a pre-fired coach in the National Football League get off the mat, get their backs from against the wall, and perform better. It's rare. It's very, very rare that you're going into a season thinking, yeah, we're probably going to fire these guys if it doesn't get a lot better. So if that's your thought process, just go ahead and do it and accelerate a process that needs to be ready for when a new stadium opens in 2027. Because I do think that what Connor Rohr writes here in SI.com is totally legit, that stadium opening is the defining moment of Amy Adams-Strunk's tenure as the Titans controlling owner. That is her moment. It's not all about her. However, I think it is important to her, but also the people all around her to allow this to be a shift in a new generation of Titans football. For the fan base, for the team on the field, for all the people that go to games, and for the city of Nashville, this needs to be a positive launch. And I have no pathway right now to see them being competitive when they put that team on the field in that new stadium for the first time.
And that's definitely the wrench that's thrown into all of this that makes everything so different. Because I think if you weren't building that new stadium, there might be a little more patience in terms of the process. And that is what it is. And there's, a short timeline for it. And you're right. The turnaround is going to be quicker than you think, because if you don't make the right decisions now, you're going to move into that new stadium with a team that's still trying to figure it out. And that's going to affect the attendance, and you got to pay for it, right?
Right. You do. But it's only so much you can do each cycle around. And that's where, to me, do I feel like there's pressure? Yeah. But the idea that you can fix it all in 1 year just ain't realistic. So I think I ain't gonna say it's unprofessional, because heck, you can do whatever the heck you want to when it's your business. But you also have to be realistic about how you approach this rebuild. I wonder if in this offseason, will they actually use the R word? Remember, we kept skating around it. The R word, reshaping, reshifting, retooling. We kept saying every one but the RB one, and that's rebuild, right?
Yeah.
Is that the messaging that you need to hear? And also from a fan's perspective, if you hear we are in a rebuild, are you okay with coming back to the stadium and saying, but I guess in that, you got to see signs of improvement, too. And this year, wasn't much signs of improvement.
That's what's tricky. And I think that's what set fans back, too, this year, is because we came into this year, even, as somebody who covers the team, I was really believing what they were selling in terms of the additions and, all of that stuff. And part of that's on me, obviously.
Yeah.
But part of that is the way that they kind of put it out there, what this team was going to be. And I know you can't just get out there and say, this team's going to be poop. We hope you guys come to the game. But I think there's a happy medium of how you sell the season, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of new changes. We're excited for those changes. We hope you come out and watch some of the growth that we hope to see happen. But I think we saw that in a different light painted.
I think there's an interesting narrative in the F&M Bank chat, and a comment says, y'all just want your Ned Stark moment. Sorry, Rand, they want your head cut off, referencing Game of Thrones. I think everyone on this show has actually said we would keep everyone who was here.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. When someone tells you who they are, listen to them. When Amy Adams-Strunk has consistently shown you that she will have a quicker trigger to get rid of someone and get someone else new in, then that's the new standard, right? So, this organization has a history the past 2 seasons of firing people that most owners wouldn't have fired. A lot of folks would have kept John Robinson around, at least when Amy Adams-Strunk fired John Robinson in the middle of a season that was not totally lost yet 2 seasons ago. And then last year, there were a lot of owners that would have kept Mike Vrabel. So this is not us calling for anyone's head to be cut off. Right. This show, and this show's, I think, stance officially, is that they should both be kept, Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon. My opinion is that with Amy Adams-Strunk's track record, you just never know.
Yeah. And
you never know.
I'm with you.
I've come on here and said, and this is my real opinion, I have not disliked the job that Rand has done. I think he's been good in the draft. I know some of the free agent signs didn't hit, but I feel like he is in the scapegoat because he's the longest now that's been a hire, right, of Amy's. So I think that's the direction more people are going, because Rand's, maybe the first off to cut because he's been here the longest amount of time.
I think the other side of it is this too exposed.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, considering this though. the way this offseason went, and then, of course, you release, like, you get rid of the GAWD, Mike Vrabel, and you look at him as the next guy in charge. Mm-hmm. And from that right there, the conversations that he's had on the radio or how he's done interviews, and I think people look at him as the mainstay of the guy you want to point blame at. Because in the chat, Doug Fallon asked a great question, and it was I thought it was solid. It was like, what are you firing him for?
For going 9-24 over the last 2 seasons.
Is he coaching it?
No.
Exactly.
But he put the team together. He's the one that orchestrated the lack of right tackle you have. He's the one that picked Will Levis, albeit for a different head coach. Like, he is not as exposed as a lot of GMs are, in my opinion. Like, he's not doing a lot of interviews compared to other executives around the league. We hear from Rand in the offseason and sometimes at the trade deadline, and that's really it. Like, I don't think it's exposure. I think it's the fact, pretty simply, they're 9-24 the last 2 seasons.
How many misses are you giving, though? Because here's the thing, and well, I guess
in this organization, not many,
and that's the point, though, too.
That's the point.
Right. And then on top of that, you had a lack of draft picks before then, also, too. So how much can you actually do other than what you're providing?
Right. You know what's crazy too about that is I think part of this comes into the story too is that he's still kind of connected to everything else that was here, right? Like it was almost like a chain of you fired Robinson, but then you had Vrabel, you kept Vrabel, and then you fired Vrabel and you kept Rand. So it's almost like they're all tied together in some way, and I think that's where people's head goes in terms of just maybe even resetting Rand on his own, which that's kind of how I've looked at it. I want to reset Rand on his own and not tie him to that first year that then ties to John Robinson. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's getting it now
right.
with Brian Callahan, but it's a lot of losing.
It is, and part of that's on Brian Callahan too.
Yeah,
and part of it's on Amy Adams-Strunk for hitting the reset button back-to-back seasons.
Sure.
Like, this is the byproduct of the amount of change that she has facilitated. Mm-hmm. In order to raise your ceiling as an organization, you've got to lower your floor in the process. And that's exactly what happened. The floor got lower as the organization tried to raise its ceiling. And they've got to see this through at this point. I don't think that firing everyone again is going to just kickstart some sort of immediate success. It's just going to make the players that you actually have that I think are decent worse. Mm-hmm. Because it ruins the continuity for a guy like Peter Skronsky, who's getting better, for a guy like Tajay Spears and Chika Okonkwo, who I don't think are helped by hitting the reset button once again.
No, you're not.
And these younger players who played a lot this year. Under, Rand Carthon draft. Like, these were his guys that had a lot of time, that were out on the field, getting experience in the NFL for the first time, hoping they can find growth in that second year. And you're right. You reset that again. You bring in a new coaching staff again. Those aren't Rand's types of players. And you bring in, you're right. It is a mess.
Yeah.
It's hard to differentiate because we don't know how many of Rand Carthon's decisions in year one were influenced by or just decided by Mike Vrabel. Mm-hmm. That's what we will never know. We will never know definitively in the room who wanted Will Levis and who didn't. We will never definitively know what decisions were made on that 2023 team that were Vrabel guys or Rand Carthon guys. Because in that sense, this kind of in a way feels like year one for Rand. But in reality, it's not. And that's unfair to the lack of success, I think, that he had in 2023 as well. So that's what makes it so tricky. I can't tell you how much of the bad is because the Vrabel-Robinson regime is still kind of infecting this team a little bit. And I also can't tell you how much of the bad is because maybe Rand and Brian Callahan just aren't very good at this. I don't know. I really don't. And I think it's going to take more time for us to realize, do they know what they're doing? Because I don't think there's enough evidence to tell us that they are or aren't the guys for the job yet. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts on the phones when we come back. As we learn more from SI.com on the status of Rand Carthon, Brian Callahan moving forward. We'll continue to take more of your reaction coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. You hear me talk about these guys all the time, all the things they can help you with around your home. Well, I'm here to ask you, do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Or maybe do you just have wall switches that don't seem to work? Some days they're working great for you. Otherwise, maybe not so much. Well, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Dealing with electricity requires the expertise of an experienced professional. You got to call the pros over at Lee Company. Their electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $30 off an electrical service call for a limited time. Contact Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or go online to leecompany.com for an appointment. That's 615-567-1000 online at leecompany.com. Get $30 off an electrical service call for a limited time. That's Lee Company. All you need. Friday morning at RKW continues here on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Coming up this morning in a half hour, Brent Hubbs of VolQuest. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith at 8:20. And, of course, Ron Slay in hour number 4 at 9:20. 615-737-1045, discussing the newest rumblings from SI.com, Albert Breer and Connor Orr, that say it is important to note how important the Titans' new stadium construction is in terms of the job security of Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon. Let's go to Matt in Mount Juliet up first this morning. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how you doing? I just want to comment on the coaching and the GM positions that are in jeopardy, and I think that would be a mistake because you have to, first of all, there's a reason why Tennessee has been 3-13 for the last 2 years. You just don't have enough talent to compete especially to beat the good team. So, if you just have your management team will come out and say, this is the direction we're going. We know we're short in every area. Every area they're short. So if you get rid of these people, you're going to have 2 new people come in and you're going to have the same thing. You just can't get an all-star team on both sides of the ball to be competitive. You're just going to have to build. You say we're going to first work on the quarterback, and then we're going to get an offensive line, then we're going to get a defense, and you can sell that to the fan base. It's okay, we're going to be short, and by the time 3 years down the road, then we're going to be competitive and we can stay competitive. But to get everybody on 1-year deals, everybody get hurt, and then you switch everybody out, you're going to run into the same problem. So your biggest problem is messaging. And the media, they can't say, oh, we're going to be good. No, you take it the other way. Hey, surprise me.
Gotcha.
Give some help, give some hope to these people. Not, we need to go to the playoffs. You don't have a roster to do that.
Thank you, Ben.
I think messaging and
Appreciate
time.
the call.
Messaging and time.
2 things that are not always easy.
No.
But you have to figure out how to deal with it. You're right.
I think it's a good call.
Very good call.
So real quick, too, because that was a very sensible call. Very fair, even. Would y'all say that, too? So is it the loud minority is the one that's making all the fuss right now? Is that what it is? As far as the future of like that front office of coaching and GMs?
Maybe.
I think sometimes those are the people we see. And again, you have your own opinions. You're your own fan, right?
Right.
But I think we in this business, because we're in the radio, the talk radio business for sports, we hear a lot of those really big opinions, right? Strong opinions. People are not afraid to come out with that, which is great. It makes our jobs great. But sometimes I think some of the opinions, like the caller that we just had, they don't come out as much during these times, right? They are sitting back, being patient. But sometimes I think, we maybe need to hear a little bit more of that because that's a sensible call.
I heard a conversation yesterday, and Bert was in. He wasn't in on the conversation. He was working. It was Buck. Buck yesterday had a statement. Y'all know Buck's my guy. But he had a statement yesterday that was just, I felt like you can't go that far. He said this fan base should be more livid.
Oh, like Philadelphia. I heard that whole conversation.
Like the Colts. Like, we're not buying tickets. We're not doing this. We're not going to the games. And I feel like the fan base is already there. Like, you just tune it out.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different than a major NFL city.
I was really just confused by the need to want people to be outside with pitchforks and calling in and cussing us out and throwing tomatoes at the Titans facility. I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, because I don't think the majority of the fan base wants to clean house.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear a lot of that on social media, but it's
spend
not
enough time
that
on
you
social
can't say
media,
that's
you're
the
gonna hear every
majority.
opinion.
What's the percentage of people on Twitter? You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
Yeah.
Twitter's not real life.
That's why I said you hear from
Twitter's
these people,
not real life.
but that doesn't make it the majority, right?
Yeah,
I think majority might be a little more sensible.
That was the few times I was just like, Buck, you can't be calling for you're inciting a riot right now. So what you're trying to do? We got January.
This market is what it is. Like, this is not a Northeast NFL dominant market. It's just not.
Yeah.
This is a market to where when the pro teams are bad, we've got options because we care about college sports in this town the way other major NFL cities don't. And I think that's the thing that Buck might be missing in that is that in Philadelphia and Chicago, we talked about this with Stephen Godfrey 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
In those cities, you're going to obsess over the product of losing. You're going to get livid in a way that I just don't think fans here will, because when the Titans are this bad, you just tune more into your college team. And this is an SEC melting pot that allows you to lean more into going to Tennessee football games, pay more attention to the rebuild Auburn has in the transfer portal. Because let's face it, Auburn's probably the second biggest SEC fan base in Nashville. You spend more time on Alabama tickets or in both football and basketball. You've got Vanderbilt that's here. That's a small part of it. You've got Kentucky. There are plenty of other things to demand our attention in the SEC beyond just getting really mad and lighting pitchforks when your NFL team loses or when your hockey team loses, because they're doing a heck of a lot of that as well. So I don't think that the lack of anger is necessarily a bad thing. The lack of vitriol, I just think it's a product of who this market is. And I think there's positivity to that, right? We're not going to overreact and get livid at the first sign of something going wrong. I think the process is too early at this point to get to that level of anger as a fan base.
And the Colts got a famous talking head, Pat McAfee. Like, it's different, too, when you got somebody that's at the top of the hill screaming, I'm not renewing my tickets.
That's right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's a different scenario. Like, Chris Ballard has been there since 2017, and every other team in the AFC South has won the division twice in the time that Chris Ballard and the Colts have won it 0 times.
Wow.
So it's hard to compare that with Rand Carthon, who just got here 2 years ago. Impossible comparison.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was just, I ain't gonna say I was confused, but I was just like, I didn't know he was there already. You know what I'm saying? And his stance is his stance, but I was just like, this, not yet. You know? And the other thing is, too, like, if Pat McAfee's upset, well, he's seen the championship go through Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit different expectation when you had Peyton. You know what I'm saying?
I think two things can be true. Like, you can be very angry at the amount of losing you've watched over the last 3 seasons without pinpointing that blame personally on 2, I think, people who have not been there long enough to really get all the blame in Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan. Like, if you want to be livid today that the Titans are 16-34 since 2022, 100%. I am as well. I am a fan of this team. I sit there in the seats with all of you. I get it. I'm 100% in the same boat. But you can feel that way without wanting to fire everyone who's in charge right now.
And we're acting like, first of all, there had been no changes made from the Vrabel era. I mean, that's the thing. There have been changes made. Now, have they worked out to this point? No, but it's been a very short sample size and time allowed to see if it's going to work out. So it's not like Amy Adams-Strunk has sat on her hands either and said, hey, I'm not firing. It's still John Robinson in here. It's still Mike Vrabel. If that were the case, then maybe the fans could rise and be like, okay, this is not working. But she has made strides to try to change things.
Right.
And, that's within itself something.
Still not. What Kendrick said? It's not enough.
William is in Murfreesboro. Up next. Hey, William.
Hey, Wayne.
Wayne,
good morning.
Yeah. William, Wayne, same thing.
How you guys doing?
Happy Friday.
Good.
Happy Friday, Wayne.
Yeah, you too. In the middle of the season, I was ready to axe Callahan, but it's not his fault. I've learned. Rand Carthon, you all know at the beginning of the season, the roster looked pretty good. Everybody seemed pretty happy and a lot of optimism about how the season was going to go. Callahan doesn't seem to be a quarterback coach, groomer. He was given an NFL quarterback at Cincinnati. Joe Burrow was an NFL quarterback while he was still playing at LSU. I think he needs a quarterback that's already an NFL quarterback, and I think the team will do better. He's just got to coach him up a little bit, the rest of the team. Rand did good. You had Ernest Jones, he left. D-Hop left, you know what I mean? They'll be all right. It's just I think he needs an actual established quarterback to coach. I think Levis is a good quarterback, but I think he needs somebody to bring him along.
Thank you, William.
He might go somewhere else and do fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, William. We'll talk about it. We're up against it.
So here's my thing. We got more calls. So
Go for it.
I was just going to say real quick, like saying the coach is bad, you also need good players too. And this is where I'm at as far as where they need to move going forward. You got a guy right now in Creed Humphreys that got criticized for being a left-handed center. You know what Kansas City did? We going to draft him anyway. You got a guy in Trey Smith that has blood clot issues, right? And he slipped, and Kansas City let him fall that deep. You know what they said? We're going to draft him anyway. Sometimes finding good players that work for you ain't about the stereotypical, hey, he's right-handed, he's got no health issues, he's never had, go with playmakers. And that's where I'm at with a lot of these folks, like Mailata, the left tackle from Philly. He was in the system. They helped mold and build him up. Good players make coaches better. Any coach will tell you that, too. Think about what Andy Reid was with Alex Smith before he got Patrick Mahomes. And I hate to continue to use him or them, but sometimes finding what works for your system, despite Creed Humphreys being a left-handed center.
Takes time to do that.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Transitioning to hour 2 coming up next. More of your phone calls of the Titans. Plus, Sugar Bowl reaction from yesterday. All 4 playoff teams with first-round byes lost. Is that significant? We'll talk about it next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. We've had a blast hanging out with you at Gray and Dudley, the Bankers Alley Hotel, before every Titans home game this season. We have got one more tailgate to throw this upcoming Sunday. That is right. Before home games, 9:30 a.m. That's where we're hanging out, 221 2nd Avenue North. It is a great deal to park there and make a short walk over to Nissan Stadium. And the best news is we are warm inside right there at Gray and Dudley. The food is excellent. The cocktail's great. The drinks, I'll allow you to have a breakfast, beer, and burger. We got a great combo for you as well. A burger, a beer, and a parking spot for just $40. If you want to hang out there, you pay $30 to valet park. Just go ahead and walk over to the stadium. You can do that. Or you can take $10 off that price if you come dine in at Gray and Dudley. $20 valet parking deal if you just come in and have a drink and hang out with us. 221 2nd Avenue North. It is the perfect way to start your game day. The brunch burger and Bloody Mary combo is terrific as well. Come by and see us. 9:30 a.m. this Sunday morning before the Titans take on the Texans.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Fighting Irish claiming the 23-10 win over Georgia in last night's Sugar Bowl to earn a spot in the national semifinal. Bulldogs quarterback Gunnar Stockton helped Georgia open scoring in his first start following Carson Beck's season-ending elbow injury. The game turned when Notre Dame answered with 10 points on consecutive plays late in the first half. Notre Dame improves to 6-0 against ranked teams in Marcus Freeman's third full season with the team. Only Penn State now stands between the Fighting Irish and a spot in the national championship. Titans, actually Pro Bowl roster was announced yesterday. No Titans on the initial list, but 4 Titans were named as alternates. Jeffrey Simmons, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, and Ryan Stonehouse all named as alternates for the Pro Bowl. Titans will play their final game of the season this Sunday. Kayla Anderson, Blaine Bishop, Brad Hopkins, and Buck Rising got you covered on Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff before the game. Titans Radio takes over after that. Coach Mack, Mike Keith, Rhett Bryan, rest of the Titans Radio crew gets you everything you need to know before kickoff at noon. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone rolls into the 7 a.m. hour, kicking off your frigid Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Coming up in 20 minutes, VolQuest's Brent Hubbs, voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, still to come at 8:20, and Ron Slay in hour 4 at 9:20. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045 and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Yesterday in the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame joins Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State in college football's Final Four, a 23-10 victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. Riley Leonard threw for 90. He ran for 80 more. And a fourth top 4 seed and team with a bye week fell. What does it mean?
It means that you weren't good enough. That's what it means. Sometimes we just need to be able to say that. It's like, they just weren't good enough. And Georgia was not good enough. None of the teams with a bye were good enough in this playoff scenario right here. Again, we'll see what happens as far as the reseeding. I think there's been conversation around that, is to seed them in accordance to ranking as opposed to conference championships and stuff like that. But I'll still give it up to Arizona State. Arizona State played one heck of a game. Mm-hmm. I thought the matchups the second round weren't as bad. Maybe Penn State, but it wasn't as bad.
Boise State gave them a battle in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't. Good quality games. Yesterday was one of those quality games to me, too. I enjoyed it.
So the buys, to me, you do look at the teams that got the buys, and you just named them off, Will. I think the teams that surprised me, though, for the most part, the team that surprised me was the Oregon bye. And in that case, I do think it kind of paid off for Ohio State to have momentum in terms of how they were playing and to carry that through the next week. Instead of Oregon kind of sitting, doing the practice thing, not playing in a game. That, to me, is the only game that could have really been affected by kind of sitting around and having that bye. Because I thought Oregon was a way better team than what they showed on the field on Saturday night. I'm in the weekend mode.
Yeah, I thought you were right.
On Wednesday.
Yeah.
God.
New Year's. Yeah.
So that's the only one, guys, that I didn't think showed up the way they were supposed to show up that could have maybe factored in that little bit of time just sitting.
I should have known better, too, on Oregon. When Dylan Gabriel was making all these social media posts and he's got all this riz and he's
about
super cool.
Playing 6 years.
I should have known then. Anytime you start getting hyped up on social media, here comes your downfall.
Cam Scatterbo got hyped up and he backed it up. And Jeremiah Smith said, if you play man coverage, we're gonna beat you all night, and they did. Sometimes it works out.
Scatterbo got a good, nice reverse dunk on everybody too, being like,
definitely did.
Everybody, he went to Arizona State. He's probably hungover. Ha ha ha. He was like, and he posted the picture of everybody in the hotel. He's like, if you didn't know me, I don't drink.
Yep.
So all you guys out there are just trying to get clout off me. I love when stuff like that happens.
Me too.
I was good on him.
And if he was hungover, he had an awesome game to be. What a hungover performance performance that was
Great.
if he was hungover.
His vomiting profusely game is our generation's Jordan game.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter when you put that on there.
Yeah.
You're not lying.
It was
By
cool,
the way, the
man.
flu is going around. There are a lot of people who have it. So just saying.
He said I think, just drank too much water at once.
I
yeah.
can see that.
He
Makes
wasn't
sense.
actually sick. He
Classic
just
water
threw up.
belly.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you hate that?
I hate
Remember when
water
Ramon
belly.
used to waterboard us or say he was
Yeah,
going
I
to
saw
waterboard us?
water.
Please add context to
Against
that.
the Geneva Convention.
Never happened.
I never waterboarded anybody.
That's not true at all. You brought the hand washcloth in here and did it to me.
Grab a bucket of water and a towel. Let's go.
You can't say that kind of stuff.
No, apparently that is a bad. Never mind. I'm not even going any further than that. I've never waterboarded anybody, okay? But that dude made a lot of money, I think, this offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, in this bowl season. Really cool.
If you correctly seeded the college football playoff, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
As far as
Arizona State would have gone to Ohio State in the first round if you had the top 4 teams actually get the 4 byes and not just this, crap of giving the top 4 conference champions the first round byes. SMU would have gone to Tennessee if it was seeded the way the final rankings were put together. And Boise State would have gone to Indiana. So if the byes had been for Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State, we would not be having this conversation about, every team with a bye lost and the layoff hurts you. No, it doesn't. It's just the fact that the worst teams were the ones that got the byes in every single case, according to Las Vegas. Every single favorite won. That's the headline from this, not the fact that every single team with a bye lost. Because ultimately, you had Georgia with a freshman quarterback, or sophomore quarterback, who played well, mind you. Wasn't his fault. No doubt about it. It was not Gunnar Stockton's fault that Georgia lost yesterday. But still, that's a weaker team by a product of not having the guy that's been leading them for the past couple of seasons. You have an Ohio State team that is more talented than Oregon and lost by 1 point in Oregon. So on a neutral field, of course, they're going to be favored. They're the better team. They're the better roster. Texas, better than Arizona State. I don't have to spell that one out for you. And Penn State, better than Boise State. That one's obvious as well. You fix the format, you fix a lot of this narrative. Simple as that.
I don't think Georgia wins with their starting quarterback in either yesterday. Carson Beck being
probably
in.
not. You're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll win that game, but that's neither here nor there. Though. I mean, some teams are just better than you on those days or have a better scheme than you.
And special teams, Carson Beck's not on kick coverage team.
Exactly. Or what is this? Gunnar Stockton's not on it either. So it's that side of it too. By the way, Firebird is what also a young man that ran that football back yesterday.
Yeah, Marshall
too.
transfer. I believe Jaden Harrison, was the guy.
Yeah,
Jaden Harrison.
Jaden Harrison. I know Ron Slay was proud about that one, man, and all the Firebirds.
He was a stud track runner and wide receiver. A lot of the track meets and games that I watched in high school. Yeah, he's a stud.
Was he with Barry and Brown on that state track team?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, goodness
Pearl
gracious.
Conan, they put out
push
some
'em
athletes,
out.
man.
They absolutely do, man. But I just thought Notre Dame was just a better team yesterday. Kirby,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go into halftime and do the Kirby-like stuff. Carson Beck could have helped, but
There's only so much you can do, though, with what your team. It is what it is, right? Like I said, your receivers didn't get better this year. Your offensive line, you guys noted this earlier on, it's down.
Worked.
I mean, they don't have as much talent up there.
Yeah.
And that showed this year because they couldn't protect their quarterbacks as much. Their quarterbacks were, Carson Beck, making a lot of mistakes. Their wide receivers weren't catching balls.
yeah.
And
No, they weren't.
you can only do so much defensively as a team if you're just not getting any help on the other side.
I wonder what Georgia goes preseason next year as far as their rankings.
Great question.
Tell me who's on their team first, because I have no idea who's
Yeah.
on their team
Man,
next year.
Gunnar Stockton, and that Georgia's going to have to hit the portal. I mean, every team has to hit the portal.
5-day window's about to open for them now that they're out.
It is. I wonder what they're going to look like going into the next year, though. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, to your point, 20 for 32. He didn't play bad. His wide receivers did not help him out. He's shown that he has a lot of grit and toughness. Even from the SEC championship game where his helmet got knocked off.
But he does need more experience, though.
He does.
And no one's,
he got a good bit of it in this game.
Well, sure.
Like I said, earlier in the game where he tried to, it was funny watching him. It seemed like he was shocked. It was a run option. He pulled the football and he tried to hit the edge real quick, and the Notre Dame defensive players was right there on him. I was looking at that moment, it's like, yep, that's inexperience more than anything for
and
a
he'll
fella
get
like
that
him.
coming back next year, but where do you put Georgia then? And like you said, with a
I think
team
they'll still
like
be
that.
top 10.
I don't know who's on their team yet. I couldn't tell you.
Just on reputation. You know how it goes in the preseason. Everybody's off reputation.
Until I know what their roster looks like.
And maybe they make changes too. I know Mike Bobo's son, I believe, who played line.
His son?
His son. Wow. I do believe it's his last year. I just wonder
tackle.
if they make some. No, he got hurt this season, I believe.
I was about to talk bad about his kid. Nepotism. Never. Go ahead, Caleb.
But yeah, I do wonder if they make some staff changes too at Georgia.
I mean, I'll say this, and this is going to be my stance going into this offseason. We have any SEC coach on. What are y'all doing to reshape your houses? Because I do think Marcus Freeman had a better talented team, and I do think he got out-coached in this game.
I don't know if Notre Dame is more talented than Georgia, but I do think Marcus Freeman out-coached Kirby Smart yesterday.
100%. 100%, man. And that, to me, I think Heupel got out-coached and out-talented also.
Yeah, he both for sure.
Both for him.
Yeah, no doubt.
And of course, like, SEC coaches do have to, I think, have a round table meeting and try to figure out what's going to be the next. I mean, they're not going to come together on that. This is me speaking on, like, the wins, losses in the bowl season for me. I do look at what the other coaches in the Big Ten have done, Marcus Freeman in this last, the semifinal, quarterfinals, and I somewhat say, I think they have better schemes, especially when you look at what Ohio State done with Chip Kelly. Like, their entire offense looks like it did a 180, right? So who's doing that? Who, to your point, Kayla, as far as coaching staffs, are making those types of changes to get what Bill Belichick has in Carolina? NFL minds behind it, maybe, because that's what they're dealing with at this point, especially with the playoffs the way they are right now. With bigger teams, like, you have to be able to adjust and move forward with it. That's my stance going into this offseason. There is a knock at the door.
You weren't happy with the post
Absolutely
play
not.
from the SEC.
There's a knock at the door. And the SEC needs to answer it moving forward. That's my stance, and I'm sticking on that one.
Coming up next, VolQuest's Brent Hubbs joins us. Still no official news on Tennessee wide receiver Mike Matthews entering the transfer portal. We'll get the latest on that front. Plus, there is a Chattanooga area athlete who has entered the transfer portal who is being predicted to at least take a hard look at Tennessee and maybe potentially pick the Vols. All that and more with VolQuest's Brent Hubbs coming up next. Friday morning continues on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, whole crew here as we talk Vols out of Knoxville with our very good friend Brent Hubbs of VOTT and On 3, who joins us at this time every single Friday morning. Brent, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year and 2025 to everyone on this Friday morning.
Yes, sir.
Brent?
Absolutely. You as well. Let's dive right in, Brent. The big story of the week. What is the latest on Mike Matthews, and do you feel like today might finally be the day that he goes into the transfer portal officially?
Mike Matthews is like the guy that, or the lady that comes up and pulls off 2 weeks of vacation by taking 2 off days. That's what this thing feels like. That's what this thing feels like it's turned into. I think today has to be the day. I think that Mike got all of his paperwork and all the video onboarding and things he has to have done on Monday. So the assumption was his 48-hour clock started on Tuesday. But it turns out New Year's Eve is apparently a holiday for the NCAA, so that's not a business working day, and neither was New Year's Day. So his 48-hour business day working clock started yesterday. Today is the last day of that 48 hours. So we think, unless there's a loophole I'm unaware of, by 5 o'clock Eastern time today, something has to be done. He's either got to officially be in the portal or he's got to withdraw and not go in the portal, unless there's something out there rules-wise that I've not heard of, don't know of, and are not aware of. So I do think we'll get something from the Mike Matthews world today, whether he's pulling his name and he's back or he's officially going into the portal. It certainly has felt like the last couple of days, it feels more like he's officially going to end up going in the portal. We'll see. He and Josh Heupel and Mike Matthews' family have spoken every day for the last 6 or 7 days.
Brent, how do you think Tennessee has tried to keep him around? Because with the lack of continuity they have at that wide receiver position, it feels like Tennessee is going to have to be really aggressive in acquiring talent with all the resources they have left. How do you think they've gone about trying to prevent him from going in the portal?
Well, I mean, I think that, the surprise was last Friday night when he decided that he was going to go in the portal and wanted papers, because up until that point they had everything agreed upon and he was good for moving into year 2 as a Tennessee player. When I say he was good with NIL. He was good with everything. And so, I think the conversations have been much more about the offense and much more about his comfortableness with everything at Tennessee, how he's going to be used, playing time, and those types of things than it has been, demands for more money. So, we'll see. I mean, I think it boils down to, at this point, whether or not Mike Matthews wants to be here. And I think that's kind of been the story the last 3 or 4 days. Is real simple. Do you want to be at Tennessee or do you not want to be at Tennessee? And I think that's the decision Mike Matthews has been struggling with the last few days.
Wow. Brent Hubbs with us this morning, VOTT on 3. Brent, again, Happy New Year, man. It's good hearing your voice.
Same to you, my friend. Happy New Year.
With that being said, all right, so within a calendar year, you did whatever it took to get him on campus, right, and commit and sign his letter of intent. What changes within a year, man, to keep him on campus? Or is this just, the method of operating moving forward now, Brent?
Oh, I think this is the method of the world we're in moving forward. I mean, I think that because every year is a free agency year, it's actually got 2 free agency windows. You can negotiate a deal in December and then try to negotiate a new deal in April if you want to. I think that's the world we're living in college athletics. And I think that it's why I've said, and I think I've said it on this show, you better play your young players. You better figure out a way to get young guys on the field, get them involved, get them engaged, and try to move forward from there with the understanding of you're not going to keep everybody. I mean, it's going to be really hard to stockpile a bunch of numbers and a bunch of high-quality players and ask those guys to wait. It's just going to be really hard to do, particularly at the skill position spots. There will be some exceptions. Some guys grew up, just loving the team that they played for. It's like I watched Ohio State and the Sawyer kid who plays off the edge, who had Jack Sawyer. I think he's a terrific football player. I mean, that guy probably went home in an Ohio State onesie from the hospital. I mean, he grew up 25 minutes from Columbus. So you have some of those situations, but for the most part, I think a lot of guys find themselves in free agent situations every year. And so, you better be able to figure out a way to get guys on the field and let them be effective in year one and be a part and engaged. Your culture's got to be good. You've got to stay on top of everything, have every conversation you need to be having. All of those things you got to work at the relationship is the bottom line, Ramon. And I think that's where we're at in college athletics right now.
For sure. Brent Hubbs with us this morning. Hubbs, two things, man, and one question. One is a statement to somebody, and the other one's a question about the other. One, if you run into Landry Jones, ask him who's the best blocker he's ever met in his entire life, and if it's not me, you tell him he sucks, okay? That's first. There's a block for Landry, okay? So there's that. And he needed UT more than we needed Oklahoma, all right? But here's this, too. I gotta mess with him now, right? Okay. Also, in that same sense, coaching staff, man, what's going on with Tim Banks in either Miami or this Clemson rumors that are going around with him?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything that happens with Miami. I don't think Miami's a place that Tim Banks has much interest in. I guess you never say never, but it certainly doesn't feel like in talking to as many people as we can talk to that there's anything of any significance going on with Miami. Names being floated out there, but I don't think anything's going to happen there. Clemson's more interesting. We'll see. Clemson's in a little bit of a unique spot in that they're waiting to see if Coach Goodwin, their defensive coordinator, takes the job at Oklahoma, as he's been rumored to be a top candidate there for Brent Venables. The two work together at Clemson. If he goes to Oklahoma, it saves Clemson some money if he goes on his own. If he gets fired, then they've got to pay him his buyout money, and then there's a mitigated number in there that he would not get his full buyout if he took a job at Oklahoma or somewhere else. So this is an agent financial deal right now. They're waiting to see how everybody can get their money. I can keep my money if I'm Clemson. I can get some of my money if I'm Goodwin for getting fired. We'll see how that plays out. Now, when that job officially becomes open, and I think it's absolutely going to be open. There's too many quality reporters reporting that it's going to happen for it not to be the case, in my opinion. Then it gets interesting to see where Tim Banks would be with that job, how much interest he would have in that job, and would he have any interest in it at all? How comfortable is he at Tennessee? I think he likes it at Tennessee. I think his wife likes it here in town. I think she's comfortable here, but he did not get a contract extension last offseason. And he coached this year on an expiring deal. And I think that was, bothersome, because of what he's done the last 3 years in building this defense. And statistically, they've gotten better each year. And he was not extended in the offseason. And I think that's something he's got to work through and figure out, how comfortable, if he's comfortable with everybody here. He's got a deal in place to sign. He's had it for a while. I think right now, he's looking at that, and I'm sure his agent's out there talking on the phone, and we'll see what materializes with Clemson. I think Clemson's much more realistic than Miami in terms of being possibly interested in a job. I don't necessarily mean it's more realistic that he's leaving, but I don't think Miami's ever going to materialize into even an interview. I could certainly see Clemson potentially doing that.
Brent Hubbs, our good friend at VolQuest, joining us like he does every Friday at this time. Back to the transfer portal situation. Brent, what can you tell us about the young wide receiver Amari Jefferson, who is announced he's leaving Alabama? Why does Tennessee maybe make for a good fit?
Because Tennessee was second. He was committed to Tony Vitello to play baseball. And then he blew up on the football field, and it went from, hey, you get some partial scholarship money to play college baseball, or you can get paid to play college football. And, he decided he wanted to play football and had a great senior year, was terrific in the championship game and the state title game. And I think that Amari and those around Amari were really caught up and enamored with the idea of playing for Nick Saban at Alabama and a championship program. Nick Saban's not there, and Alabama didn't have a very good year. And he was not a factor. So I think that he's got a lot of people around Tennessee that he knows, a lot of friends, They go to school here. I think Tennessee is home. I mean, he had some interest in kind of toying with Tennessee before he signed. It never materialized into a visit because of Nick Saban, but I think there was always some Tennessee thought in the back of his head. And so when he went in the portal, it's logical that Tennessee would be a school that makes a ton of sense. One, it's Tennessee, and they finished second. And two, Tennessee, counting their seniors, is down 7 receivers in their receiving room via the portal, via graduation. They need bodies, and he would make a lot of sense.
Brent, as much as we're talking about the transfer portal right now and then going to open back up, in April, is that correct?
Yes, end of April.
Okay. There is recruiting going on, too. And so, Tennessee, tell me about the 4-star cornerback, Jordan Edmonds, and maybe what he's kind of looking at right now early in his recruitment.
Well, I think, what you're seeing with some of those defensive backs is you're seeing what they saw this year, and that's Jamad McCoy and that's Ricky Gibson, and the production that they had and the way that they played. And I think they like what they see out of those teams. And, Tennessee got involved with Edmonds early, 6'3", 170-pound corner, that they were one of the first teams to really jump on him. He's scheduled to be back in town for an unofficial visit in January. Tennessee will have junior days coming up, and then he's going to take an official visit in summer. So Tennessee's definitely in it for him. And I think you got to give them credit for being early to the party there. And again, I think his interest in Tennessee is largely due to what he sees out of the corners. Jamad McCoy is going to be an NFL guy a year from now if he stays healthy. Ricky Gibson probably needs to add some weight, but he's got NFL skills for sure. So I think Tennessee's secondary play this year certainly is catching the eye of defensive backs out there, and they've done a good job evaluating that position.
Brent Hubbs of VOTT on 3, our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brent, on the Zachariah Branch front, the USC transfer receiver and his brother Zion, any updates there, and what is that conversation like as the Vols try to get him on campus?
That's the conversation. Will you come visit? Will you come see us? We have a need. We would love for you to come to campus, and we'd love for you to take a visit. And that's where the conversation starter is come take a look at us. And right now they don't have anything scheduled. So we'll see if that materializes into a visit or it doesn't materialize into a visit. They've been at Miami on a visit. Texas has tried to get involved there. Georgia's involved there. We saw Georgia play yesterday. Their drops resurfaced yesterday. They've had a horrible year dropping the football at the receiver position. They clearly are looking for receiver help. To me, with the Branch brothers, nothing gets real until they step foot on campus. And right now they don't have a visit scheduled. So that's what Tennessee's trying to do every day is with Branch's people and trying to convince them to swing through, whether it's for 4 hours or for 48 hours, come through and take a look at campus. And to this point, they have not committed to doing that.
Brent, you guys wrote in the War Room about South Dakota State running back Angel Johnson, someone the Vols continue to evaluate and want to get on campus. Do you get the sense Tennessee is looking for a running back one in the transfer portal, or do you feel like maybe Peyton Lewis steps into that role and they're looking for another body and just someone to complement him and Deshaun Bishop as well?
Well, it depends on who the conversation is with. If you're talking to Angel, then he's running back one. If you're talking to Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop, he's helping the room and depth piece. So you got to recruit them, right?
Right.
So
sure.
I think that ultimately they like Peyton Lewis, they like Deshaun Bishop. I think they would like another guy as a part of the rotation and a guy with experience to help bring along, the freshmen that are on campus. And is it a must? I wouldn't say it's necessarily a must, but it would be helpful considering Deshaun Bishop's had a hard time kind of staying healthy. I think that's a bit unfortunate. I don't think he's a brittle body, but I mean, he's had, kind of 2 years now of ankle issues. So I think you would like to have someone that you could turn and hand the ball to that's got experience, because you found yourself, you were an injury away from playing walk-ons in the Ohio State game because you just didn't have enough bodies there. I don't think they're going to go for a big-name guy. that's going to upset the apple cart. But I do think there would be interest in getting another body there to help them along. Now, they really only played 2 backs this year when you think about it. I mean, it was the second back was a different guy depending on who was healthy, but they didn't have a true 3-man rotation at any point in time during the year. So does Sims feel like he needs to play 3 backs because he beat Dylan Sampson up too much? I don't know. I think that's something that you evaluate when you do your self-scout that you're doing right now at the end of the year. Do we need to play more bodies at that position, or are 2 guys kind of the way that the rotation works best? That's a decision that Darrell Sims has to look at and decide upon.
Brent Hubbs with us this morning, still talking Vols and college football, college sports. Does that matter? Hubbs, the answer's good, okay? That I'm going to give an answer, but I still want your opinion on it. Like, the Vols just finished playing in the college football playoffs. But going into this 2025 calendar, like, what is the state of Vols football right now? Because it seems just a little volatile, considering losing a lot of experienced guys. And right now the wide receiver room's got 2 scholarship players and got to figure out if Nico's real deal. I mean, there's a lot of questions. So what do you say the early, sense of where the Vols are right now?
Well, I mean, I don't think all is lost, okay? I don't think that the Ohio State loss breaks you. And what I mean by that is, like, okay, that then the window's closed, right? Like, right. It's a total revamp. It's totally starting over. But at the same time, too, if you're not being innovative, if you're not growing, if you don't have, ask yourself some real questions about what we need to do to take another step forward, then I don't think you're doing your job. And I think that Josh Heupel has to ask himself, what do I need to do better? I think he's got to ask his staff, what do you guys think I need to do better? We need to do better. And then he's got to point out things he thinks they have to do better. I mean, this is when you get in the room and the think tank and you have real discussions about what's working, what's not working, on the field, off the field, accountability. All of those things are on the table for discussion right now. And some of those discussions, quite frankly, might be a little hard. Right. Okay, and they might be a little offensive at points in time. But those are discussions that you have to have, and you should have them every year moving forward, right? I mean, that's what made Nick Saban the GOAT. He had those same discussions after they won a championship when they didn't win a championship, okay? That's right now Dan Lanning's going to have those conversations at Oregon. We lost 1 game this year, but we lost at Handley. Like, what's the next step for us? What are we missing here? Here's the other question that you have in college football that I wonder about a little bit. With the portal, does your window for staying open to win, does it stay wide open all the time, or does it close a little bit here and there because of the portal? And maybe you lose some experienced guys. So you go from being a pretty experienced team with some depth to the portal makes you an inexperienced team with not as much depth. Those are the cases that you see. And I think that's something that we're all watching for in college football. Do the blue bloods stay at the top every year? The teams that's been the traditional teams, do they stay right at the top and clearly better than everybody else, year in and year out? We'll find out whether that's the case or not. I mean, every SEC team's looking right now going, wait a minute now, where are we at in our league? Is there something that we need to that this league has slipped in a little bit, because you weren't as successful in bowl games. And Georgia did get pushed around yesterday by Notre Dame in the line of scrimmage. And in the second half, Texas got pushed around in a lot of ways by Scatterboo and Arizona State. We know Tennessee got pushed around by Ohio State. So I think the league's looking at things as well. So you're always in a state of adjustment, Ramon, and you have to be adjusting. That doesn't mean all is lost. But if you're sitting there patting yourself on the back saying we've arrived, then the next thing you know, you're going to be in the cellar. And so you got to continue to grow and evolve and tweak and counterpunch and have all those things on the table for discussion and have answers to every offseason.
And Brent, that's kind of what I was going to ask you about, just in terms of what you've seen out of the SEC this year. Obviously not down by any means, but there's a lot more parity involved in this, and probably because of what you just said. But at the same time, if you're looking at it from Heupel's lens, like, this is an opportunity now with Georgia a little bit down, having to figure things out, Alabama having its issues, right, to pounce on it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to go. I mean, you've got to again, I don't think we're going to see. And look, Ohio State may be the best team in the country next year as well. Okay, Ohio State wasn't the best team in the country 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. They have gotten better. They have figured things out heading into the playoff run here, and they have gotten hot. Now, can they stay hot for 2 more weeks and win this thing? I mean, certainly feels like it right now with the way Jeremiah Smith is playing. Part of this is who is getting better. And I think if you're an SEC team, you're looking at how much better was I as a team at the end of the year than I was in the middle of the year. Were we beat up? Do we have to manage things differently? What do we have to do individually in this league to be at our best? Now, the league's going to come back, and people who are big believers in the SEC are going to say, listen, take those other meaningless bowl games out of the equation. Guys didn't want to be there and all that kind of stuff, and I get it. But I think when you're an individual team in this league, you're looking at it going, okay, let's see where we're at. I mean, South Carolina's sitting there today going, you know what? We got a chance next year in the league. We'd be a playoff team. We'd win this whole thing if we keep everybody coming back like we think we have coming back. I mean, they feel as good as anybody feels leaving right now, even though they didn't win their bowl game. When they look at, they're bringing back quarterback, they're bringing back their defensive front, a good bit of their offensive line's coming back. They got a young running back. They've got some talent at receiver. So, it's one of those deals where I think this league feels like more teams have a chance to win it. So, yes, that window seems to be open for more teams. It's not just, Alabama and Georgia playing for it and everybody else is, a participant. This is now multiple teams have a real shot at winning this thing. And I think Illinois probably feels the same way in the Big Ten.
Sure.
With where they are, if they can hold everybody together. That's what makes the game great, is it may not be just the same 2 teams every year, which is, quite frankly, what college football has been looking for.
Brent Hubbs of VOTT on 3 joining us this morning, talking Tennessee football. Always lots to discuss out of the transfer portal. The grind never stops for the authority on Tennessee coverage over at VOTT, even when the football does. Brent, we appreciate you, sir. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yes,
too,
sir.
Brent.
Brent Hubbs of VOTT joining us here this morning. And it sounds like Mike Matthews is going to the portal today. There you go.
Yep.
His emotions just pulling on him right now. That's what it is.
It's
I
like
remember that Amari Jefferson recruitment very well, too.
I didn't know that
Just
he
a
was
couple
a
of years
baseball
ago.
dude.
Oh, yeah. He was committed to Vitello before he was ever
That's wild.
that good and blew up at Baylor his senior year.
It was like a last-minute flip. It was. He was.
And it makes sense, like Brent said. Definitely makes sense to
It
come
does.
here.
How much money you think he wants? I know a school in North Carolina that could really use a wide receiver after getting beat up in the transfer.
Hey, you quiet. Shadows.
Hey, all we have is $300K.
All we got is 300.
Coming up, we'll
blowing the whole
catch up
budget
on
on
your
him.
phone calls, 615-737-1045, and take a look at the biggest game of the weekend in the football world, Vikings and Lions. Who's got the edge in that one? We'll dive into that next. Wrapping up the first half of your Friday morning RKW, and you can download the show wherever you download podcasts every morning at 10 o'clock. Search for Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and get us as well on 1045thezone.com. It's where you get Brent Hubbs from a few minutes ago. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, coming up in a half hour. And Ron Slay in hour 4 today. The final game of the NFL regular season, guys, is going to be a doozy. Vikings and Lions. A little bit of history in this one. The 28 combined wins between Minnesota and Detroit are the most shared wins by two teams in a regular season matchup in NFL history, besting the previous mark of 25, set by the 07 Patriots and Giants. The Pats were 15-0 that year. The Giants were 10-5. And the 05 Colts and Seahawks, who are 13-1 and 12-2. Detroit has scored 30-plus points in 4 straight games, but the Lions have also allowed 30-plus points in 3 of the last 4 games to Green Bay, Buffalo, whom they lost to, and San Francisco. Who is the better team heading into the postseason, the Lions or the Vikings?
I think the Vikings right now, a little bit more healthier. The explosiveness they have on either side of the ball to me is just high. And I ain't gonna lie to you, their head coach, man, is doing it right. He's saying the right stuff. He's got his team locked in. Dan Campbell is too. It's just that I feel like looking at these squads defensively, I feel like when you look at O'Connell, right, he's a good genius when it comes to like how he's crafting these plays up too. So for everybody that's wishing for Sam Darnold in the portal, free agency, I think you got to carry that offense with him too, because he's willing and dealing right now. I don't know if there's 2 better skill players they have right now than Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and I know in my Thursday 3, I took the Lions in this game, and they're at home. I understand the injuries that go into play with this team right now, and I do feel like if you're just asking me the point blank question, who's the better team, you have to involve that in terms of the injuries, and so I think the Vikings are healthier. They're continuing to play good football as well. And really, they've done it throughout the whole season for the most part on both sides consistently. The defense has been what it is. It's been solid all season long. We've talked about it from the start. But I think the big question for me was, could Sam Darnold continue this throughout the season? Could he be that quarterback that has revived his career? And he's proven me wrong. He has been that steady Eddie force for them who has taken advantage of the guys around him. He's played good football and he's taken advantage of the weapons he has, like the best receiver or one of the best receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson. He's over 1,000 yards this season. Aaron Jones, their running back, is over 1,000 yards this season. Sam Darnold is balling, and so I think they've got all the momentum in the world to go into this postseason as a healthier team. Now, the only thing that I never count out with Dan Campbell and the Lions is they know every year, like, this could be their last, right? You always have to think about that. And they have had the hype on them, and they understand how to handle it. They can't control the injuries, but I think they can control who they are as a team, and they know who they are as a team, and they buy in. So I never want to count that out. But I do think the Vikings overall are the better team headed in.
I got another point to be made, too.
Okay.
Vikings got their own Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
His name is Brian Flores.
He's been great.
He knows how to call it. He knows how to. He's got the defense just rolling right now. It is. We saw it first glance here in Nashville. Like, they're that good. They can get to you in any fast. They can get the ball through the air. They can also cover you on the ground. Right now, they're, as far as points per game, and I know that's circumstantial because of what their offense is doing at times. Only giving up 18.8, basically 19 points a game. And they're crushing you by scoring over 26 a game. So, Brian Flores is calling. He's making it happen.
And they're doing it by forcing turnovers. They have forced 31 turnovers this season. That is number 1 in the NFL.
Damn.
You know how much of an advantage?
That's a ton of turnovers. At that point, when you do things that consistently and that well, it becomes a part of your team's DNA.
Sure.
Because turnover luck is the thing that is most challenging to extrapolate over an entire season. Because the ball, like Rand Carthon said of the Tennessean, the ball is not round. It bounces your way or doesn't bounce your way. So it's difficult when teams are that good at forcing turnovers to say they can continue doing it at the same rate. But when you force 31 turnovers, that's just kind of who you are at that point. Sam Darnold is balling. It's interesting between these two teams because I trust Jared Goff as a postseason quarterback more. However, I believe less in the Lions because I don't think teams that are that unbalanced can go on a run and win a Super Bowl. Because at some point, your offense is going to turn it over a couple more times, and your defense isn't going to be able to pick you up. Like, you have to have balance as a team or just be elite enough on one side of the football to where it doesn't matter. And I just don't see that happening when that happens on offense being the elite side. Like, if the Lions were this but flipped, and they were elite defensively and just kind of middling with injuries on offense, I would believe more in them. Because we just saw the Chiefs do that, right? Yeah. Elite quarterback play, elite defense, and kind of on the rest of the offense. But if you look at just the defensive players that are on IR for Detroit, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Kyle Petco, Marcus Davenport, John Kaminsky, Mekhi Wingo, Nate Lynn, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez, Khalil Dorsey, Carlton Davis, Ennis Rakestraw. And that's just the defensive players that are on IR. Doesn't even count David Montgomery, who's out and may come back for the Super Bowl. Doesn't even count the guys who are hurt but not on IR, who might play this weekend. Give me Minnesota, unless they just totally crumble in that game. I'm not totally confident in it, but I do think as a playoff team and entity, I trust Minnesota significantly more than I do Detroit.
It's interesting with the storyline of Minnesota, too, coming into the season. Look, I think a lot of people predicted them to possibly finish last in that division because you've got a new quarterback. You traded away you gave away Kirk Cousins for the most part. You're now, kind of resetting that offense in a way. I know you still have Jefferson and everything. Hawkinson was beat up. They kind of hit the jackpot, if you think about it, because they brought in Sam Darnold not knowing exactly what he'd give
to the rookie.
them. Right. Yeah. And then you hit it in terms of your assistant coaches, your coordinators, I should say. Everything kind of worked for the Minnesota this year. And now they look to be one of the powerhouses headed in to the playoffs.
And that's an interesting note about the roster construction of this Vikings team, because when we always praise the Packers, I use them as an example where their whole offense is homegrown. And the Vikings are similar to that. Their whole offensive line is homegrown. And it's still to this day if Christian Darrisaw wouldn't be on injured reserve. They had to trade for Cam Robinson. But on defense, they only have 3 homegrown starters. Everyone else they brought in was a mercenary. Brian Flores got all of these guys from different places to buy in to create this kind of defense. 31 turnovers, Will noted, the most in the NFL. That's impressive. And I feel like that's something that only works on defense. You couldn't have an offense that wasn't that was similar to this, where it's like, we only have 3 homegrown players. Everybody else is a mercenary. You can only do this on defense, and they're still making it work with that many guys.
Note.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
What's fascinating, too, is a guy that was on a losing team in Jacksonville, and Cam Robinson's been fine. I'm a light fan. I like Cam Robinson. But the fact that he's gone to Minnesota, got around better co-stars, has made him a better player in itself also. Like right now, he's registering the highest he's graded out for PFF. Like his pass block grade is a 72.2. And right now, he's a 65.8, which is higher than any point in his career overall for himself.
You guys want to hear another stat?
Talk to me.
The Vikings with 31 takeaways. That is the same number of takeaways that the Notre Dame defense has. It was also number 1. So I saw that stat earlier. When you said 31, I was like, that's crazy that Notre Dame has the same number of takeaways that the Vikings do.
That's impressive on both sides.
And also, this, too, they got 2 edge players that made the Pro Bowl, too, as starters, Van Ginkel and Grenard.
There you go.
If I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, the parts in your play matter. Like, you can't just put on the show and expect people to be Oscar winners. No. They have good parts to the play that they're putting on week in and week out.
And it all worked. I mean, that's the thing, too. Part of it is kind of just it working together, right? You got Flores running that ship. He picked the right people to make it run the right way, like Bert's point was. And then you go and you hit it with the quarterback. I mean, even though your young quarterback who you expected to play was hurt.
It's a trade option now.
615-737-1045. We'll get your calls coming up on the Titans Reset, the headline of the morning, where SI.com has rumblings on NFL coaching security, and the Titans were mentioned. We'll talk about that next.
Did you know that up to 50% of the air you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space? Well, have you ever looked in your crawl space? I get it. Most of us don't even want to know what's in there, right? But moisture in your crawl space, it can create unhealthy issues that can make their way into the air you breathe every day in your home. It's Ramon Foster, and this is where United Structural Systems can help. USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994. So here's the thing. You know they're not going anywhere. So help control that moisture and musty smells with mold treatment and crawl space encapsulation that comes with the USS guarantee. That's right. Encapsulation helps reduce high humidity in your crawl space. It also helps deter mold and mildew and protects your crawl space from pests and wood rot. Turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Reach out to the folks at I Trust, man, with all your foundation, repair, and waterproofing need. That's USS. You can go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or, hey, pick up the phone. Call them at 615-488-7855.
What's going on, you bunch of hoodlums? Good morning. Happy Friday from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Fighting Irish claiming a 23-10 win over Georgia in last night's Sugar Bowl to earn a spot in the national semifinal. Bulldogs quarterback Gunnar Stockton helped Georgia open scoring in his first start following Carson Beck's season-ending elbow surgery. The game turned when Notre Dame answered with 10 points on consecutive plays late in the first half. Notre Dame improves to 6-0 against ranked opponents in Marcus Freeman's third full season with the team. Only Penn State now stands between Notre Dame and a spot in the national championship game. Pro Bowl rosters were announced yesterday. No Titans on the initial roster, but 4 Titans were named as alternatives. Jeffrey Simmons, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, and Ryan Stonehouse granted with those honors. Titans play their final home game this weekend on Sunday. Kayla Anderson, Blaine Bishop, Brad Hopkins, and Buck Rising have you covered with the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Before the game, Titans Radio takes over after that. Coach Mac, Mike Keith, Red Bryan, and the rest of the Titans Radio crew with everything you need to know before kickoff at noon. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show at 8 a.m. Getting started on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Produced by the one and only Robert Walsh. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've got the VOTT coming up in just about 20 minutes. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, as well as Ron Slay in our number 4. Your comments at the F&M Bank chat on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. And SI.com this morning, Albert Breer and Connor Orr combined to rank NFL coach carousel notes, what they are hearing 3 days before Black Monday. And in this, there is a bullet point about the Titans as the second part of a very big piece talking about potential job openings around the league. And Connor Orr specifically writes, the Titans are set to complete the construction of their new stadium in 2027, and it's important to point out that one thing. Says, with the completion of a new stadium comes immense pressure for a team to sell tickets and have a kind of known identity that people will subscribe to. This was absolutely the case during the gritty John Robinson and Mike Vrabel era. Vrabel, by the way, who's meeting with the Jets today in an official job interview. But Brian Callahan may be facing an incredibly difficult situation ahead, Connor Orr writes at SI.com. Needing to drastically improve a roster that has been done little to no favors so far during the Rand Carthon era. Carthon, too, could be feeling the heat for this in particular. Again, that is Connor Orr at SI.com. Do we learn anything significant there, guys?
Not really. I mean, I think we're all aware of all of those things. It's starting with the stadium talks, of course. That's what we've been talking about for a minute here, and it was really launched to another level when they broke ground earlier in the year in 2024, and we had the discussions on our shows. We had Berg Nihil on and talked about all of that, and of course, with the new stadium becomes a little bit of pressure, if not a lot of pressure, for this organization just because of the state it is in right now. It's not winning, and it hasn't for the last season experienced winning. So, yeah, that to me is obvious. And with it coming in terms of the jobs of Ren Carthon and Brian Callahan, I think that it's obvious, too, the heat is on when it comes to that because it's not been a good year. And that's the expectations were to find some improvement, but they didn't even find improvement down the stretch. So I think it's an obvious statement in a way that things are a little bit tense here and that there, isn't job security 100%.
Yeah, it's that. And then also, too, it's looking at this from a 10,000-foot view also. Yeah. Like understanding injuries, understanding, like, the situation. He mentions, identity that the Titans had with John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, but he goes without mentioning at the back end of that, like John Robinson got fired before the season was over, and Vrabel got fired in the last week going into Black Monday. So there's a lot that goes into it. The issue is, of course, like you said, replenishing this roster with new talent, sustainable talent to be competitive. And again, messaging from inside the building at some point may come out on what their plans are as far as saying this is a rebuild. This is to, everybody brings up the stadium to get to 2027 to where you're competitive. It does come in waves. You can't build a championship roster overnight. We've seen teams attempt it. Heck, we've seen the Jets try it numerous times. We saw Philly attempt it. We saw the Jags attempt it. Like, it's time and patience.
And that's clearly added fuel, too, for a lot of people who are looking at this and trying to dissect the situation that's going on. Because we haven't heard a lot out of the Rand Carthon and Amy Adams-Strunk camp yet. Maybe we will once the season ends. It's easy then to connect, okay, the timeline speeds up because you have a $1 billion stadium being built.
Mike in Cleveland has been waiting patiently to chime in on the Titans this morning. What's up, Mike? How are you?
What up, y'all? What up? How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, man.
Michael?
Yo, what's up? Yeah, man, I got patience. You know, I'm just driving in the snow, trying not to slip and slide.
Ooh, be careful.
I got patience this morning. Yeah, thank you, Kay. Thank you. Yo, but real quick, on the playoffs, on the college playoffs, yeah, man, they salivating up here. I want to let y'all know they salivating.
Oh, we know.
I got my partner at the yeah, man, you know.
Mike, how do you deal with those people all the time? Sitting in a stadium with them, my goodness, those are some despicable individuals that wear red and silver on Saturdays.
See, dog, you know, I learned how to pivot to the maroon and gold, and now I'm talking Cavs with them, you know? That's all it is.
There you
Fair
go.
enough.
You know?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. You gotta learn how to pivot, you know? Sometimes I might break out the Indians, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that's just how it is sometimes, man. But, so with the Titans, though, with our Titans, you know, I just really wanted to call and say, you know, all these narratives, the reason I think neither one of them are going to be fired is because we don't really know where to point the finger. We don't know who to blame. We just want to blame somebody. We still bringing up J-Rob, Vrabel, down to a J-Rob guy and a Vrabel guy. I mean, right now, it's just like who do you blame? Also, I think Rand and Callahan, as of right now, they're a package deal. Either they're going to succeed together, or one of them has to, you know, just fail so bad that it's clear cut. It's Rand's fault or it's Callahan's fault, or you know, like it's clear cut. Cole Anderson should not be the special teams coach, but it ain't clear cut if that falls back on Rand or if that falls back on Callahan, if that makes sense. So I think right now it's just that a thing, like you said, it's time, patience. We don't know who to blame, so they gotta work these wrinkles out and then figure out who really is, who deserves to be there and who deserves to stay. And so yeah, man, I just wanted to say that, until we get rid of this Vrabel and J-Rob narrative, man, both of them going to succeed together or they're going to fail together. So that's it. Doses.
Thank you, Mike.
You might be safe.
Appreciate the call. I think it's a great point.
It is.
Yep. We don't know who to blame, and it's hard to know, right? When there's been changes made and there's new people here, but how much of a roster is really, to blame?
And when it's a collaborative process.
Yeah, and that's
when you want decisions made by committee. Who do you blame within that committee? Either no one or everyone would be the logical answer.
Is that maybe why the collaborative narrative was put out there, though? Is that there was chances that this couldn't or wouldn't succeed
put out there because they didn't want the Mike Vrabel way anymore.
I think that's why it was put out there. I think it was a lot of that. And we don't speak about that enough. Like, I ain't gonna say we won't speak about it enough, but from my understanding and just hearing the rumors, like there was a lot of division inside the building.
Oh, we've talked about it a ton. Yeah. It's just been overshadowed by things on the field that we can talk about during the season. That the team's bad.
Yeah.
So those aren't Mike Vrabel problems this year.
But to his point, when you do have a collaborative effort, when it's good, and you say, hey, everybody's to say, you've had a part in that. But when it's bad, wait, who do we point the finger at?
Everybody wants somebody.
Marcus is in Nashville. Up next. Hey, Marcus.
Man, yesterday, I'm sorry, y'all. I went on mute because I waited a long time. I was hit a button with my finger or something, but I was waiting to talk to y'all.
It happens. Don't worry.
Sorry about that. Happy New Year.
You too, Marcus.
Yeah, 2025 is going to be amazing. Now, I think we might not know who to point our finger at to say who did it, but I guarantee you ain't nobody going to admit to it. It's just like in the elevator, you know what I'm saying? We all know who farted, but we ain't going to admit to it, you know? But back to the situation, I'm telling y'all know Levin's cousins and little nephews and stuff be listening to the radio station where y'all be talking about, well, if we lose, we can get this person, get that person. I'm telling you, Levin's going to put on some mayo. He's going to rub it all over his body Sunday. And that boy's going to show out and make us win. And everybody's going to be mad because I'm telling you, man, because you know what? The person we try to get is taking his spot.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts.
You know what I mean?
Look,
Yeah.
if his nephews is listening to us, let them hear. Okay.
Thank you, Marcus.
When you live in this public space and you live in a performance-based world where you're judged, my family members heard stuff
Part
about
of it.
me. Like, yeah, this is part of it.
Let them boys listen.
Yeah.
Turn it up to max volume. They need to hear this.
This is your public job, right? Like, this comes with it. Again, I tell people all the time, pressure is a privilege.
Yeah, Will Levis is auditioning for the Titans starting and backup quarterback jobs and about, 60 other jobs in the league, too, for all of their starter and backup jobs Sunday as well.
Facts. Like, this is a part of the business. Nobody's ever going to feel sorry for a dude who's 100,000 there that gets an opportunity to play a 1% game.
I thought it was funny, though, Terry McCormick, when we were leaving the facility yesterday, he goes, it would be the most Titan thing, though, on Sunday for Will Levis, like, Marcus was saying, just to ball out, for them to win the game, like, end the season. Like, it's not going to totally matter, but in a way, the draft stock, obviously, you plummet a little. It's totally a Titan thing.
Well, I think every fan base feels that way that's in the top 5. Like, Giants fans feel that way. Well, it's the most Giants thing ever. Like, that's the company you keep when you're a bad NFL team, is everyone feels like that. Like, Patriots are probably saying, like, oh, just watch us win and avoid getting Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter or making a trade that could allow you to get either one and things like that.
And Levis's mindset is, you thought I threw the ball hard. Now watch me, Michael Scott. I'm going to
throw it even harder.
I'm going to throw it even harder.
It could go one way or the complete opposite.
Or they could tie. Could go 3 ways.
You better quit slamming that door.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw it even
true.
harder. I'm going to slam the hell out of
I'm
that
going to
door.
end this year with a tie.
Exactly.
Coming up, voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. Our final pregame visit with the VOTT is next. What's up? It's Will Bowling. What if I told you there is a way to enjoy pain relief, lower blood pressure, and help with other health issues? You could have more energy, stamina, you sleep better, and everyday issues, they just start to go away. I want to tell you about LifeWave patches and what they do for you. They are the most advanced, multi-patented, non-invasive, and affordable technology in the form of a wearable patch that kind of looks like a Band-Aid. Phototherapy patches, they reflect the infrared heat that your body creates, and this patch has a special pattern that reflects the infrared heat back to your body to activate your stem cells. These are things that can help you with things like younger looking skin, hair loss, weight loss, wrinkles. It can even help with chronic migraines. And this is the number you need to remember, 501-605-6935. They're online at OurLivewave, LIVEWAVE.com. That's 501-605-6935. Results vary, but most experience excellent outcomes with energy, better sleep, pain relief, and more. Call them at 501-605-6935. For the final time in the regular season, we hear the Sopranos music and we talk with the VOTT. Here on RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined by voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. Mike, Ramon Foster is preparing the parka, the umbrella, the waterproof boots, the everything. Our guy's been lucky with the weather. Mike, I'm afraid that luck might end this Sunday on the field.
Will Bowling, I think you're correct. It does not sound good for our good friend, Ramon Foster. The whole thing sounds a little sketchy. Meteorologist Rhett Bryan, or I should say, meteorologist wannabe Rhett Bryan, is calling for unfortunate stuff. So hopefully the frozen will hold off. That's what we need. We do not need anything frozen.
Hey, all I'm telling you is this: he came in here and gave us the breakdown, and the words, like in the voice of Rhett Bryan, I'm scared. Okay. Just listen, mama, like all those things. Okay. Well, and here's the thing: he said, "Let's get to 3:00, and everything should be settled in by then, too, Mike." So I'll keep you guys updated on the field.
Good. We appreciate it. You do a fine job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Titans radio, Oilers radio as well this weekend as the Titans take on the Texans. Mike, what do you hope to see from this Titans offense specifically? Brian Callahan saying both quarterbacks are going to be in there. What kind of step forward do you hope from that unit specifically, Mike?
No mistakes. That's the big thing for me. You know, Will Levis played his best game of the year against Houston on November 24th, and all of us came out of that game very excited about the potential for this offense. And then, unfortunately, the calendar turned to December. And, I'd like to just forget that month. I think most Titans fans would. But the Titans really dominated offensively that day. Had they not given up a pick six, a fumble in field goal range, and an 80-yard kickoff return that produced points, I don't think that would have been a very close game because the offense did great things. And because they were able to make big plays, they overcame their own mistakes realistically for the only time all year, and that counts the other two wins as well. So I'd love to see those big plays, but what I'd really like to see is especially Levis have a chance to play with no mistakes. Just everything on time, him running the offense, him being as comfortable as possible. To me, that would be the best thing. It would be nice if Will could leave this season with a really good, solid performance where he feels like, okay, I had all the bumps and bruises and I had everything go on, but I end the year knowing what it's supposed to look like and how I can do it, and to be able to take that into the offseason.
Mike, aside from quarterback, there are obviously a lot of players, both young, under contractual control, and those that are on one-year deals who are auditioning not only to be here in the future, but also for 31 other NFL teams. What position most interests you, Mike, for the Titans going into this game where there's a lot of potential and auditions happening against the Texans?
Well, I think, first of all, Will, it matters who he makes, active for this game. And so, some of that would factor in. Does he bring Jaquan Jackson back and give him a look after sitting him out for, 4 weeks? Does he say, okay, let's see what that looks like? What do they look like at the running back position? Does Julius Chestnut get his first real chance to carry the ball? Because that can determine some of how you feel towards the offseason. I mean, I think wherever Julius is on the rundown, he's going to have to battle for a roster spot regardless. But does he really become that incumbent number 3? And as an undrafted, you very rarely attain that status where, you're at least penciled in. You're always going to have to fight. But does he show that? Because what Julius is? Julius is a very good special teams player as well. And you've got to have those guys to go toward your 48. I think what they do at right tackle, it would be nice to whomever's going to play it if they could show some consistency at that spot. They played 5 guys at that position. It would be nice to go out with a good game there. Tavondre Sweat finishing strong would be a big deal to me because he's had such a great year. Love to see him against his home state team with a couple of sacks. I have a hunch we'll see the two young linebackers. I don't know that for sure, but it would be nice to see them have a chance to play. And then, the guys in the secondary, all the young pieces in the secondary. Let's see what they have to do. And I'll circle back to offense for one more, and Bryce Oliver. Bryce has had a really nice year, especially for an undrafted. Again, like Julius, it would be nice for him to take a performance into the offseason where he, at the very least, puts a check by his name, where he's maybe not completely with a leg up, but he's a little bit of a leg up on some other people entering the 90-man offseason.
We're joined by Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans. Mike, we've all had similar conversation. I know we're going to revisit it after the season as far as wins and losses, right? But the losses this year, man, have just come in different ways throughout the course of the year. You almost kind of, say, is it bad fortune, or is it just, there needs to be an upgrade in the type of player that you are, giving jobs to in a sense. But even last game, Mason was off to a good start, and then boom, there's a tipped interception. What has that been like for you on just watching this unfold over the course of the year, whereas you're not giving an excuse, but tipped interception numerous times in the season, that's just a little bit of bad fortune, I feel.
Sure. And when you're not a good team, that's what happens.
Yes.
I mean, it just does. But the Titans have made enough mistakes in their own right that, combined with just bad luck, it's devastating. And that's the story of this year that makes it the most bizarre in my time doing this. Is I've never seen a ball club that at times could be rolling right along and you're saying, oh, they're playing very good football and this is really going well, and then just catastrophe in some area. And, it's been different ways. Early in the season, it was largely, or it seemed like it was on special teams a lot. It hasn't been lately. They played better. But then the offense has sort of gone to sleep in the second quarters, and penalties have been a factor, and the defense has had a hard time getting off the field on third down through the month of December. They gave up 60% conversion rates on third downs, and 23 of 25 on 3rd and 2 or less, which you're saying, well, 3rd and 2, that's pretty easy, but they're getting to 3rd and 2 or less 25 times, So it's been something throughout the course of the year that they could never get to a point that they had one thing they could lean on no matter what. What was the calling card that could get you out of a bad moment? And because of that, they have suffered through the catastrophes, some of which they have made, and then some are just the normal bad luck.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. Injuries play a part.
Sure.
The book has written itself, and we'll all evaluate it after the season. With that also being said, too, Mike, is it commendable, of course, with having guys get these second opportunities? Of course, you look at, Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, both will be rotating. Now, I'm guessing for sure this upcoming weekend, you'll probably see John Njoku and NPF at right tackle. How do you view those two positions, Mike, going into this upcoming offseason with this last chance to, really put something good on tape?
Well, it's great. I mean, I think it's great for them. I don't know that at either position you could put enough on tape this week to change what the narrative's going to be. And that is the offseason narrative for the Tennessee Titans will include, 20 parts. Parts 1 through 19 will be fix the quarterback. And then part 20, you may start with right tackle, but they're going to, certainly that's going to be a part of the discussion. Right. But I think the overriding discussion is if the Titans cannot figure out how to get consistent quarterback play, no matter what they do everywhere else, it's not going to matter. And when you have quarterback play where your passer rating for the combined two guys is under 80 for the year, 21 interceptions, it's just not, it just doesn't work. And this is what we saw that Ryan Tannehill stabilized the franchise when he came in 2019. And, for nearly 4 years before he was injured at the end of 2022, he gave the team stability at the quarterback position with not only competent play, but he was good on third down. He was good in the red zone. I know everyone wants to raise the flag of the Cincinnati playoff game, and I get that. I understand. But what he did, giving this team top 15 quarterback play and at times top 10 quarterback play, is he elevated the ball club so they could take advantage of all of the other parts. That's where they got to get. They've got to find that stabilizing force who will give you that sort of consistency. And that's going to be the story of the offseason. And, I think it's great that these guys are getting chances on the final weekend, but I think the questions are still going to continue. It has to get fixed.
Mike Keith, the VOTT, joining us this morning on RKW. We always appreciate him coming on the show. Mike, what is maybe the one spot that we're not as worried about headed into the postseason? And I know that you can add to your teams every single year, but where are you feeling the most comfortable?
Running back.
Yeah.
I think between Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, they absolutely got that one right. And I think had we been ahead in more games in the second half, had we not fallen behind dramatically in a few games too, you would see the rushing numbers be much higher, and the Titans would be one of the better run teams in the NFL. For all of the Derrick Henry angst, and it's there, and I get it. If Derrick Henry was playing on a 3-13 team, his numbers would look quite different. They just would.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think for this group, for Tony to do what he's done and for Tajay to do what he's done in a limited sample size, to understand how Brian wants to use those guys, I think they've got that right. They will probably have a chance to add somebody to go in and compete with Julius, maybe re-sign Josh Kelly, maybe Jabari Small gets a chance this weekend and he's in the mix. That's great. But I think the 1-2 is right. And the other thing about the 1-2 that's really important that the front office has right is the cost is right. Mm-hmm. And that was part of the transition of this offseason that had to be made, is this was not going to be an organization that was going to any longer have the highest paid running back in football. They just weren't.
Yeah.
And so they're paying Tony good money. They're paying Tajay good money for a third-round pick, but they're not overpaying. They're in the right sweet spot for where they need to be of what you need to pay a running back in 2024, 2025, and beyond. And that was part of the adjustment. All of this has worked.
Mike Keith, the VOTT, joining us on RKW. Mike, I do have to ask you about those Love You Blues this week and how excited you are to call a game, watching them play in those, and just the history that goes behind that. Because I know Jeffrey Simmons spoke on it, had some really good things of why it means a lot to put that on.
Well, it means a lot to me because we were the Tennessee Oilers when I started with the organization. And, I was very proud to get a job with the Tennessee Oilers, to be in the NFL and to be part of that. And I chose because I was very excited to have a job. That I was really excited to learn the history of the franchise and to go back and really make myself familiar with how things came to be, to spend time with Mr. Adams, to go to Houston and sit down and do a long-form interview with him, to spend time with Steve Underwood and listen to the stories, to spend time with the late Bob Hyde and listen to the stories and learn the stories. And so even though I just had a brief touch on that as a Tennessee Oiler employee, it still means a lot to me. And this family and what they have done, and Mr. Adams' courage and tenacity, and in some cases outlaw nature, to help develop not just the Houston Oilers, but the AFL, and then having the courage to bring a franchise to the Mid-South when everyone told him it was a massive mistake. The only people that believed that we could do it here were really us and Bud Adams. The majority of his staff didn't believe it. They thought the franchise should have gone to Baltimore where they had a better offer. And he thought this would be a place where people would love the NFL, and they do. And so that tie into our history and our ownership, it means a great deal. And I think Mr. Adams would be very excited to see this weekend. I know he would.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, joining us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Mike, from the time you've gotten to spend around Brian Callahan this season, what have you learned about him, the coach, and the person, and what do you feel like he has evolved and grown from week 1 to this now going into week 18?
Brian Callahan's a great guy. When you hear him on the radio with us and you see him on television with us and you see his press conferences, he is a great guy. He's a lot of fun. He is an incredible competitor. He takes it very seriously. But I've seen him develop through the course of the year more tough skin. And I don't just mean questions and things I know he gets tough questions now because the team's 3-13. But I think he gets what it's like to lead an NFL franchise. I think he knew what it would be like. I think he was ready for it. But to watch the consistency with which he has gone about the job, realize, too, what he didn't know. And that's impressive because, as we all know, there is a certain disease that is real called smartest guy in the room disease. And Kayla, it's guys. It's not normally women. It's guys. So he doesn't have that. He's not infected with that. And he has said at different points when we've just spoken privately, he said, I've learned something. And I won't go into what things, but he said, I really learned something through this. And that's what a talented individual does. That's what a successful person does. Brian's got it. Brian's a good coach. Brian's got it. Brian is better than he was 50 weeks ago when we hired him, 49 weeks ago, whatever it is. And I think he's going to be successful in large part because he has evolved and learned. But maybe most importantly is he's maintained a sense of consistency that makes his leadership something that the guys take very seriously because he doesn't change with the wind. His moods don't go crazy all the time. This has been bad. He doesn't ever want to go through this again. He knows that. But he will use this experience, much like Zach Taylor did in Cincinnati, to become a very successful head coach. I really believe Brian has what it takes.
Mike, that's where I was going to go to next is I've brought this up before, and I feel like, this first time around the calendar for Coach Brian Callahan, it was new, and you could tell.
Sure.
Do you think he'll have conversations with himself, probably his wife and kids and just his staff to be like, hey, I gave a little bit too much. Like, not to say he's going to go Bill Belichick style or, anybody like that, but you think he's gotten hardened in this process this year?
I do. Yeah. But I don't think he'll change much. I think what he'll do is he'll vary things.
Okay.
He'll kind of adapt. But I don't think you'll see a vastly different training camp. I don't think you'll see them bring in a completely different style player or that they'll do, that he's looking for 12 new coaches to do it a different way. I don't think it's that. I mean, there will always be change. I mean, it's every offseason. This team will play its last game together on Sunday, and, even by an NFL average, a third of them won't be back. And that's if it's average. So, I mean, you understand that that's coming. But I think Brian has learned. And I think that's the most important thing. Losing doesn't make you a failure. Continuing to do the same thing and continuing to lose, that makes you a failure. And Brian, I think, will take all of this lesson and will move forward with it successfully as they get him better players and as everybody understands what he wants. When I see Brian Callahan, I see a head football coach in the NFL. I really do. I mean, I think he's got the sorts of things that you need to be successful, to steady a ship and to keep going. And I think if you love the Tennessee Titans, my feeling is you're gonna wake up and see Brian Callahan down the line, and you're gonna say, "Oh, I get it." Much like the Bengals fans did with Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
Voice the Titans, Mike Keith, our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will at TENN Voice, where you follow him on social media. Mike, we've appreciated our previews for games all season long with you. Thank you as always for the time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Yes, sir. Voice the Titans, Mike Keith, getting ready for Titans and Texans on Sunday. 615-737-1045. Catch up on headlines when we come back. There is a very interesting NFL prospect who officially entered his name into the NFL draft mix, who I think should be going back to school and wearing a different uniform next year. We'll talk about that next. Back already on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Wrapping up hour number 3. Coming up, Titans picks. Ron Slay. Is the SEC's reign of dominance over? We'll talk about that coming up in 20 minutes as well. Jalen Milroe is headed to the NFL draft. Why?
I say good.
Why?
I say good.
Why in the world? Why are you doing this, Jalen? It's the best case scenario. If you're an Alabama fan, this is what you wanted. You wanted a breakup, but you didn't want to have to be the one to send the text. You wanted them to break up with you. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like when you get the "we need to talk" text in that one relationship. Oh, thank God. Thank God I don't have to do it. You did just act sad, guy. Everyone act sad. Act like you're sad he's leaving. Alabama fans are happy to get rid of him. Why would an NFL team mortgage their future in a guy that is not accurate, does not have good pocket presence? If he can't run 15 times a game successfully, he's not good. I don't get it. I don't understand what his camp is trying to lead him to believe. And quite honestly, he's taking a pay cut by being a 3rd or 4th round pick instead of going somebody would have paid you, buddy. Like Florida State, Like there are plenty of programs around college football that would have paid Jalen Milroe $3 million. 100%.
Well,
I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the smartest thing for sure for him would have gone back to school, place where you're going to get paid. Heck, hopefully you can develop a little bit more. The only thing I can think of is with this draft class being as crappy as it is for quarterbacks right now, we're only talking about 2 quarterbacks. Let's be honest. We're talking about 2 quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Moore.
So far, yeah.
Right? And look, they can go to Senior Bowls and all those, East-West Shrine games, and we could see somebody emerge. But maybe that's what Jalen Milroe's camp is telling him, is take advantage of the market right now, headed into the draft, and maybe you could get a team that would roll the dice on you, like we always see, i.e., who's the guy up at in the Colts right now? Anthony Richardson. Tons of upside. Has a rocket, all this stuff. They took him.
Yeah. Here's my thing with him. He's a draftable player. We expect him to get drafted, whether it's, 3rd, the 7th round, or wherever. He's going to get drafted, right? We see that. Somebody's going to see some talent. And I actually commend Jalen Milroe. I do. Get the hell out of college. Stop hanging on to it. Get to the next step. It used to be, I'm going, sign my letter of intent, and I'm trying to get to the league as quick as I possibly can. More need to do what he's doing. I'm all for it. There's nothing else left for you in college at this point.
Maybe some money.
And go be a DJU? Absolutely not.
Or you could be a Bo Nix. Look at Bo Nix now.
He can also go spend that time being on the NFL roster, too. I'm with you on the Bo Nix.
But it took Bo Nix his whole career, and look at where he is now.
Well, this is where he can at least get out. Get out of the way. It's only so much it's going to do for you. And then who also with the year that he's had, at least Bo Nix had somewhat of a decent year, and he had a coach that coached him well. It looked like Kalen DeBoer did nothing for him. He doesn't look like he's advanced this year. So what team is going to be willing to pay $2 to $3 million for him to come and play on their team? There's some fool out there. I know that. But he is much suited, in my opinion, on getting to an NFL team like a Joe Milton, and figuring out what's next for him. That's the way I view his situation. There is nothing else left for him in college.
Do you admit the development, you still have to, if you're an NFL team, have to admit, if you're drafting this guy, there's going to have to be development.
He ain't looking to be no starter.
So you're okay.
I think he is.
So you're saying you don't think
NFL?
He's,
okay. That's the point.
I feel like
why would you go to the NFL early to be a backup?
Well, at his position, absolutely not. He's going to sit with how his style of play is. I don't see him being a starter day one in the NFL.
I think he could have an NFL combine performance similar to Anthony Richardson, and some team is going to talk themselves into drafting him, and they're going to be really stupid.
I think because of what Anthony Richardson is doing, this reason he won't get drafted. Unless he's a bona fide first rounder, there is no absolute way he's a day one. Well, yeah, I'm saying it. There's no absolute way he's no day one starter. No way.
I don't think so either. But again, there's a lot of evaluation process left to happen that has not happened yet.
No, again, this is where growth.
I wouldn't make him a day one starter.
No,
believe me,
I wouldn't
but
either.
I just know how NFL teams work.
Do.
They say I can fix him the way Buck says.
Seattle go get him, Kayla. You rooting for him?
That's one of the options.
I'm just saying.
A lot of them are saying, "Hey, draft him under Geno while he's got another year or so left, and develop it under Geno."
That's the best case scenario for him.
That's the best case scenario. But he's no day one starter. He's a developmental guy. Right. Get him into this is where teams that really like him can actually say we can do something with him, as opposed to a college in a real strong need. That's what Clemson thought about DJU, or who was it at first?
Florida State.
Florida. Which one of them?
Florida State took DJU from Oregon State, who took him from Clemson, who gave up on him for Cade Klubnik.
You see what I'm saying? No,
you can always get better though.
You can.
He might be a junior, but Jalen Milroe's identity is not fixed today. There's always something left for you in college if you go to the right place.
I think
always
get better in the league. Then, you too old to be in college. All these, never mind. That's my personal stance. Y'all know how I am. It's do your 3, maybe 4, and get the heck out. Yeah. That's the way I view it. But that's just me.
We'll see. I just think he could make more money going elsewhere in college.
He can also get to the second bag in the NFL if he is that guy, though. How much you think he did? How much you think he made anyway at Alabama? Considering they got cameras on him.
By the way.
He's doing NIL
millions
videos before the game.
Millions.
Oh yeah, he good. He ain't hurting.
No, he's not hurting, but I don't think it's a good business decision. I don't.
I differ on that one, and it's just because start the clock sooner. Is the way I look at it.
On3 had his NIL valuation for the 2025 season if he came back at $2.6 million.
That's about right. I was going to
Okay.
say about 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, he got a nice little buffer. He go back there and be a legend at Alabama, too. Like, they love their guys. Like, that's the thing about him. Like, his level of attachment should be to one place, and it should be to Alabama. Instead of, like, where can DJ Uiagalelei go?
Now?
To the UFL.
Yeah, now he can't. Now he can't. But I'm sorry, I'm not.
But he's
putting,
also bad.
I'm not putting
Like-
Jalen Milroe in that category.
I know, but what I'm saying, he's
Jalen
a
Milroe's
one
better than
school
DJ
guy,
was.
is what I'm saying.
So you don't
that's
think
just
he could
Quinn
be like a
Ewers.
Jalen
That
Hurts?
doesn't matter anymore.
You don't think he could be like Jalen Hurts?
Jalen
where-
Hurts was a
As
2.
far as
yeah.
his career
Where he
projection
goes to-
goes, I think it's important.
Being a one-school guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
That's just like Quinn Ewers to me. I think he's a one school guy, too.
Well, he's a 2-school guy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Ohio State?
he ain't played Ohio State, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so is Joe Burrow a one-school guy then?
Joe Burrow won a national championship at LSU.
I know, but he started
started
at Ohio
at
State.
Yeah,
Ohio
he's a
State,
one school
yeah.
guy. There's no way he can claim Ohio State. I don't know if he's ever publicly claimed Ohio State either.
Well,
to that point.
he has talked publicly about how Ohio State fans claim him, and he's like, I didn't play football at Ohio State. I went to class at Ohio State.
There we go.
Which is actually a pretty funny quote when you think about it.
Exactly. He's a one school guy to me, for sure.
It's interesting.
And maybe that's why part of it too. He's like, Matt.
I'd much
did
rather his
enough
legend
here.
be in one place at Bama than for him to go to UCF. You know
What
what
do
I'm
you
saying?
He
think
would have
about-
gone somewhere better than UCF.
All right, I really quickly. What do you think about Jalen Hurts then? Since he did that, I
Jalen
went to
Hurts?
Alabama, then went to Oklahoma, and then that helped himself.
Well, he got benched.
Yeah, he got
At
benched
Alabama.
there.
Right, but he did technically.
Yeah, but he
Right.
also had a good year at Oklahoma, too. He's the one-year rental. Like, if you have good seasons at places, Hendon Hooker is a Vol. He also played at Michigan. Virginia Tech. Like, he's a Vol, though, if you asking me. Joe Milton, same conversation, from Michigan. He's a Vol. Like, that wasn't much he did at Michigan.
So
Also,
by your same argument, then though, Jalen Milroe could go somewhere else,
Yeah.
be better, and then belong to that program.
I don't think he could.
Yeah.
Yes, he
So,
could.
there you go.
Yes, but as far as his projection and what he's going to do in the league, I think it's better suited that he always has a home in Tuscaloosa.
Maybe. I don't know. We're playing the hypothetical game.
Yeah, we are. We are.
What is his draft stock to you? Where should Jalen Milroe be picked from what we know right now?
I say solid fourth round, end of the third.
Yeah, and the third. I don't think anything higher than the third.
He's a mobile arm. Like there's
He's a
room
mobile arm, yeah.
for him somewhere.
I think he's no better of a prospect than what Hendon Hooker was coming out of
Right.
Tennessee. And Hendon Hooker was a third-round pick. Again, not all drafts are created equally. I get it. But I think he's a third or fourth-round pick. I think he sneaks into the second at the absolute best if he just lights up the combine.
Right.
But let's remember on January 3rd, when people try to start talking about him as a first-round pick, that we're just not going to do that.
No.
I am not doing the Jalen Milroe first-round pick thing.
I will say this though: who is the third quarterback right now that we're talking about?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart.
Jeez, and that's. I mean, I like him, but my goodness.
I think it's
That's
Jackson
wild.
Dart. I think if Drew Aller was going
Oh,
pro, I
yeah.
think he might be 1 or 2,
For sure.
to be honest with you. But most likely, I would say Jackson Dart.
Again,
Jackson Dart.
maybe Jalen's like, I'm gonna get lost in the mix next year.
Yeah, but we always say that, right?
But this year it's so different, guys.
No, but this time last year, Quinn Ewers next year. You know, Jalen Milroe, he's going to be developed by the same guy that developed Penix. So he can take off like Drew Aller. Like we do this I'm sure next year's class we're going to be like, but wait till 27.
Wait to Arch.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do this, and it ain't we're not at fault for it. It's just that the new shiny toy.
Yeah.
It's just weird. There's only 2 we're talking about.
Well, like I said, I saw a draft ranking that had them like 12th and 17th. The quarterbacks.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, they're like 12th and 17th as far as overall talent. So it's not high.
I still think we are very far away from what those guys' final draft stocks will be.
100%.
Because
Sure.
Will Levis was the number 1 quarterback for a lot of that draft season. I mean, Joe Burrow was not the number 1 guy until they won a national championship. I remember when he was still being mocked to the Titans in like the middle of the first round, in the middle of his senior season at LSU in 2019. Someone is going to fall precipitously. Someone could, that's $5 word. Somebody
that's
could,
$10.
somebody could hurt their knee, God forbid, obviously. And then one of these other guys, there's too many quarterback needy teams for there to only really be 2 that we're going to be breaking down. Someone else is going to creep up into the first round. And I think it's going to be Jalen Milroe, even though right now it's Jackson Dart.
Yep.
Because I think we're going to watch Jalen Miller run like a 4.35 at the combine, have like a 40-inch vertical jump, his broad jump. Oh, my gosh, you see him jump? Yeah, it has nothing to do with playing the football position.
No. And I think he'll be a great interviewer. Look, the guy, I like the guy.
He's a very smart.
I like the guy.
Very, very, very smart guy.
Yeah.
I know my stance going into it this year. I'm looking at tape. I don't care about you running a 4.4,
Right.
a 4.3, or benching 38. If you look like, never mind. Tape is all that matters.
The good thing is the NFL will weed out the bull crap part of it because, like, we thought Will Levis was a first-round pick. The NFL disagreed. We thought, even in the 2022 draft, people were talking about Malik Willis. Oh, Malik Willis could be a first. When we
Could be
don't,
a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
when we don't know, we will make up an answer in the in the media, in draft projections. If we don't know, we're gonna make something up. We're gonna be. There's got to be a quarterback, right? Quarterbacks are important. They're gonna go. Kenny Pickett was the only first-round pick. Do you remember the EJ Manuel draft where it was like EJ? Oh, there's got to be a quarterback going the first round, 16th overall. EJ Manuel.
Yep.
He was dog crap.
Brady Quinn.
We're gonna make Brandon Whedon. We're
Brandon
going to
Whedon.
get
Yep.
guys in
Hendon
there.
Hooker. Hendon Hooker was mocked like 21st to the Vikings, like the day before the draft 2 years ago. The day before the draft. The thing is, though, if I don't hear Cam Ward stock rising, the Titans aren't doing their jobs. The Titans better put out there that people love Cam Ward.
I had a feeling they take him.
They better call the New York Giants and say, "Oh, we just love Cam Ward. He's like, you want him? You listen, Raiders? You up?"
I got a feeling they take Cam.
Ooh.
I got a feeling they take Cam Ward. I got a feeling they, because Shador wants to be in Vegas. I got a feeling.
Well, it doesn't matter where he wants to be.
I know, but I see Vegas moving up to get in front of the Patriots. They don't have to see them, not the same division.
Giants sitting there too with the same needs.
Oh yeah, only one that stops the Giants or the Raiders is the Titans at 2.
They better get this right, man.
If they decide to do a quarterback.
I got a feeling they take them.
They better get this right. 615-737-1045. Is the SEC's reign over? A lot of takes on the conference where it just means more. We'll add ours next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. We've had a blast hanging out with you at Gray and Dudley, the Bankers Alley Hotel, before every Titans home game this season. We have got one more tailgate to throw this upcoming Sunday. That is right. Before home games, 9:30 a.m. That's where we're hanging out, 221 2nd Avenue North. It is a great deal to park there and make a short walk over to Nissan Stadium. And the best news is we are warm inside right there at Gray and Dudley. The food is excellent. The cocktails great. The drinks, I'll allow you to have a breakfast, beer, and burger. We got a great combo for you as well. A burger, a beer, and a parking spot for just $40. If you want to hang out there, you pay $30 to valet park. Just go ahead and walk over to the stadium. You can do that. Or you can take $10 off that price if you come dine in at Gray and Dudley. $20 valet parking deal if you just come in and have a drink and hang out with us. 221 2nd Avenue North. It is the perfect way to start your game day. The brunch burger and Bloody Mary combo is terrific as well. Come by and see us. 9:30 a.m. this Sunday morning before the Titans take on the Texans.
What's going on? 9 o'clock. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy New Year from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish claimed a 23-10 win over Georgia in last night's Sugar Bowl to earn a spot in the national semifinal. Bulldogs quarterback Gunnar Stockton helped Georgia open scoring in his first start following Carson Beck's season-ending elbow surgery. The game turned when Notre Dame answered with 10 points on consecutive plays late in the first half. Notre Dame improves to 6-0 against ranked teams in Marcus Freeman's third full season with the team. Only Penn State stands between the Fighting Irish and a spot in the national championship game. Pro Bowl rosters were announced yesterday. No Titans on the initial roster. 4 Titans named as alternatives as Jeffrey Simmons, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, and Ryan Stonehouse were named to the honor. Titans play their final game of the season this Sunday. Kayla Anderson, Blaine Bishop, Brad Hopkins, and Buck Rising have you covered on League Company Countdown to Kickoff before the game. Titans Radio takes over after that with Coach Mac, Mike Keith, Rhett Bryant, and the rest of the Titans Radio crew getting everything you need to know before kickoff. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
For the final hour here already on a Friday morning edition, RKW continues. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh makes the show happen. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ron Slay in 20 minutes ahead of Tennessee and Arkansas in the artist formerly known as Thompson Bowling Arena.
Yeah.
That's coming up tomorrow as we get you ready for SEC basketball, which is very much here. 3 undefeated college basketball teams left, all of them in the SEC, which is good because Georgia lost last night. There's only one SEC football team left in the Final Four. That is the Texas Longhorns. Is the SEC's reign of dominance over?
I don't think the reign is over. No, I do think the pool of competitors has gotten wider. I've seen people doing their victory laps on social media and stuff like that. Like, we've said all of that, too, when it boils down to the idea of, like, the money being thrown into it. Like, and that's why I've been saying more, like, I don't blame the talent. I blame the coaches. I think there's a lot of talent coming out of SEC. The SEC will probably have the most draft picks in the draft this upcoming year, too. So I don't think the dominance is over. And I don't even want to correlate it to saying, yeah, we're just beating each other up over the course of the season. No, you guys had a month off in between bowl season to figure out how you're going to game plan, and you got outworked.
That's right.
That's where I see it. I don't think the dominance is. No. But the pool is bigger on how you go about playing these bowl games, the out-of-conference games, and going into the college football playoffs.
There was no doubt more of a parity to the SEC this year. No question about it, right? And some of that factors into, hey, could it be possibly the change with Nick Saban and him finally, going off into the sunset, into the broadcast world, no longer being the GOAT that he is at Alabama,
right.
And the changes that come with a new coach. Could it be, Kirby not having the resources he's usually had in the past because now they're all dispersed throughout the SEC.
My brother-in-law
and
blamed
schools,
us.
Right?
He blamed the Vols.
And you know what?
That's what y'all get for getting good. But to your point, I ain't mean to jump in on it, but
But you're like, you guys, even during the recruitment process, I remember some of the conversations we had where you were getting guys sometimes that you never thought you would possibly get before, right?
Absolutely.
Because, the money comes along with it, the stability of what you're doing at a program. So I think the parity has played into maybe not being as dominant this year. I still think they have chances, including this year, to win the national championships, and still saying when you're the dominant team, when it's all said and done, it's who wins the national championship. And for the past several years, it's been Georgia, Alabama, mostly in the mix. I don't know if it's going to be those teams anymore. I think it can be other teams from the SEC, but you do have a chance now. You're going to get your Ohio State sneaking in. You could possibly get your Notre Dame sneaking in. So the dominance, it's not as dominant, but I think it's still the best conference.
Yeah, reign of dominance has ended, yes. 100%. Because the playing field is more even. However, that does not mean the Big Ten is automatically on the same level as the SEC. We talked about it yesterday. I mean, the team rankings from the 247 Sports Composite for best recruiting classes in college football this year, 7 of the top 10 are SEC teams, 8 of the top 11, including Tennessee, who's 11th. The SEC was once again going to have the most first-round draft picks this year. No question. It's just going to happen. But I do think everyone's margin for error is smaller than it used to be, which gives us more anomalies, like a special teams touchdown and a couple of fumbles dooming Georgia against Notre Dame. Is Notre Dame a better roster than Georgia's? No. Is Notre Dame close enough to Georgia to where a couple of turnovers and a big play in special teams can let them beat Georgia on their day? Absolutely. We just watched it happen. So at this point, that I think is where the biggest difference is. I do think there's a lot of naivety, though, about this. And I was looking up a tweet I saw yesterday, and then someone just said it on our YouTube chat, so I'll just use that as the point. Comment that says, I find it interesting that as soon as everyone was allowed to start paying players, the SEC immediately fell off. If you think the SEC teams were the only ones paying players the last 20 years, what world are you living in?
Oh, my gosh.
What fantasy world do you reside in?
Oh, my God, you guys.
Like,
yeah.
Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Clemson, Miami have all been playing Texas and Oklahoma before they became SEC teams. Like, all of those teams have been playing the same games with the same people behind the scenes. They just have different names, and they do different jobs in their real lives. Like, where does this idea come from that only the SEC was paying players?
You want to bring it home?
Illegally.
Yeah, and I got a story,
Pryor.
too.
Terrell Pryor.
Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously?
Miami and the U in the 90s and the 2000s. Nebraska. There are so many teams that have been playing the exact same game.
Yes.
Michigan.
Even on the smallest level, you guys had a conversation with a former Washington State athlete that transferred somewhere else after a few years. He told me point blank, the farmers were giving me bags to stay.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's at Washington State where we don't have a lot of money.
Right.
And that was 4 years ago.
You got to pay to play, and people have been paying for a very long time.
Sure.
Right? Like Memphis State for a while, right? Like, think about that type of stuff. Like, even on the other side of it, like basketball. The game has been dirty for a while.
Yes.
Like, now more fans can get involved with it.
It's
now,
just public.
It's more
Exactly.
public. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We were just naive to it before.
I've seen that idea so much floated on social media that, like, oh, now everyone can pay players. Like, yeah, they were.
They were. They definitely
They were.
To that point,
And they still are.
Yeah.
as big as that rivalry when they were in the Big 12, why would a kid from Oklahoma go to Austin? You see what I'm saying? Like, there is a lot that goes into dragging those folks from Texas up to Oklahoma and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's probably because of a bag.
I do think the transfer portal, though, if you want to make the argument of why the playing field is more even, it's the transfer portal encouraging a 5-star backup quarterback at Alabama to transfer to Ohio State. It's Quinn Ewers saying, I'm too buried at Ohio State, let me go to Texas. Right? Like, it's those opportunities. And Kirby Smart has spoken about this, that they don't have the same level of depth at their 2s and 3s of really talented players than they used to. Brent Hubbs said it with us at 720. You can't just sit a blue chip player for 2 or 3 years and ask them to be patient anymore when they can get paid more immediately by teams with the same bags and the same amount of money, yet nobody blocking them from playing. That's where the difference is. So, yes, I think the SEC's reign of dominance is over. 100%. Do I think the SEC is no longer the best conference? No, not even close.
Yeah,
Not even close.
You'll see that almost every team that's in the playoffs or in the bowl, like, if I'm not mistaken, Ole Miss has a first rounder. Tennessee has a first rounder. Georgia has
South
numerous.
Carolina.
South Carolina has it. Texas has it. Oklahoma, I mean, you name it, it's there. So, again, I will charge the coaches, though. I do think the coaches got to figure out a better scheme or give jobs to better suited guys as it pertains to how they're scheming up. Because, again, the cheat code that Ohio State didn't realize they had, like, legitimately, and Chip Kelly, like, I keep mentioning him because he's turned them into who's messing with them right now. It's almost like he's got Deshaun Jackson over there in a sense.
And I don't really think that he lived up to expectations throughout the year.
Earlier,
I think that
yes.
that something lit a fire under him or something changed, like, after that Michigan game with Chip Kelly in particular and what he was, scheming up, because it is completely different. It's what we expected, but it's not necessarily what we saw throughout the season.
No, I got punched in the mouth by Michigan. Michigan showed them exactly what it was. I mean, to your point, though, Will, about like the NIL and teams want to see their teams do good in the transfer portal, you had Michigan swoop in late and take a guy from
That's right.
from LSU.
Yeah, Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
Bryce Underwood.
Quarterback out of Detroit.
I mean, what are we talking about right here?
Commenter on YouTube says, keep doing you. Keep selling the SEC. Got to keep the listeners, I guess. Meanwhile, Big Ten will win back-to-back championships and has 50% chance of having an all Big Ten natty. We're not giving you lip service just to keep listeners. It's the fact that the SEC for 18 consecutive years has had the most first-round picks in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And they have 8 of the top 11 recruiting classes. Like, these teams are better. It doesn't mean Ohio State, Michigan aren't on that level the past 2 years, but as a conference, these teams are 100% deeper and better.
Yeah, I
There's no
covered the
arguing
Big Ten for 3 years, guys. I covered Ohio State. I mean, I was in the thick of Big Ten country. There's some good football teams up there, and this year I think they did shine. But there is nothing that compares right now overall to the talent, the coaching that's down here. I'm sorry, the life revolves around football. And that then is amplified with the football programs.
All it is, little bro finally beat you in 21. That's all it is, man. Little bro to finally beat you in basketball 1-on-1, man. And they getting a little chesty. I would, too. We've told everybody how good the SEC. We're cocky about it. Always is, man. Little bro has beat us in 21 real quick. That's all.
And listen, Dingus, if we wanted to get more callers in here and wanted to keep listeners in here, we would say the contrary.
Yeah, we'd say the
to piss
opposite.
people off so they'd call in
Yeah.
here and say, you're wrong. You're not. That's not true. Don't say that about my conference.
Yeah.
Mr. Big Brain out there.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's fun. It's comical. I'm glad to see y'all finally punch your ticket, to the show consistently.
No, I really am glad because, listen, as a Tennessee fan, I am loving all these SEC teams losing. I wish Arizona State had finished the job when Texas was right there to be put in the oven. But we're not just telling you what you want to hear because we want it to happen. Like I want SEC bowl season to be 1-15 with Tennessee the only win if I'm talking as a Vols fan. But I take that hat off to do this show.
You consistent.
Even though I have the jacket on today.
You the biggest hater when it comes to watching the downfall of everybody.
Most SEC fans are. Like that's how college football should be. You should hate the teams in your conference and not want them to win. Point blank.
Bring you down
100%.
to lift me up, baby.
Remember when I was an athlete at Tennessee and we were, I think Alabama was playing Clemson that year with Trevor Lawrence, the national championship, and we were at practice and our older teammates were like, well, we should be cheering for Bama tonight because, we get more money as a conference if Alabama wins. And looking around like, we do not care. I literally looked, I was like, it was my buddy Jack. I was like, dude, if you think I care about some extra shoes because Alabama won a football national championship, I'll go barefoot for a month on these practices.
We do
for
not care.
Alabama to not win a national championship. I am unbothered by their ability to add to their trophy case and actually add real titles to the list of fake ones that their fans claim.
So you out here like Mark Mariani before he was, we don't want him.
No, we don't want them. We don't want them. Never cheer for your conference, kids. Never cheer for your conference.
Screw them shoes, Will.
Absolutely right. Coming up next, Ron Slay will join us. There's no disputing who the best conference is in college basketball. No doubt whatsoever. We're going to talk about it next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. I want to update you with some exciting news from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Their team of doctors of audiology are always committed to providing patients with the most recent hearing device technology. And recently, their leadership team attended the launch of a revolutionary hearing aid, the Phonak Sphere, which is dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations when there's a lot of background noise. And we've been in crowded environments over the past couple of months during the holiday season. Maybe you were spending time around family. Maybe you were at a holiday party, or you just found yourself at a sporting event and you were hearing the conversation behind you more clearly than the one next to you that you wanted to be participating in. Well, there's a fix for that. And it's this phone number, 615-377-0420. You call Brentwood Hearing Center and allow them to introduce this industry-changing hearing aid technology, which also connects directly to your smartphone and your TV. 615-377-0420 or online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. RKW 104.5, The Zone in Hour 4 and the final hour of the week. Breaking news from VolQuest's Austin Price.
Woohoo!
Mike Matthews will return to the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Breaking Vols news on 104.5 The Zone.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news for any East Carolina fans out there, but Mike Matthews is not going to be going to Greenville, USA. He's going to be going back to Knoxville. So big whoop. Celebrate all you Vols fans. Thought he was going to be a Pirate. Would look way better in purple and gold, but whatever. You know, enjoy your 5-star wide receiver coming back home after he just did a lap around the block. Had to go talk to all the ladies. Now I'm going to come home. I'll be home. Did you bring milk back? No, he didn't bring nothing back. He's just coming back. That's it.
And take.
Go.
And take. And take.
Bert left home with money clipped to his shirt looking for Mike Matthews. And like Peter Griffin, you're going to come home with a horse.
This ain't enough. Make it enough.
I brought a horse.
Like Smokey Mama.
Thank you, Robert Walsh, for that breaking news update.
You know, man, I just try to keep you guys up to date on all the latest happenings in the transfer portal, NFL. You know, I just try to stay on top of it.
And
eBay.
Oh, God, don't even get me started on
No,
eBay.
I'd like to get you started.
love
What
it.
in the
Don't
world
start
happened with you on the internet?
Yeah,
Now,
what's
listen.
While we
going
wait for
on?
Ron Slade
No,
to get
I
here.
do not listen.
Are you a
What
rebel?
happened?
This is exactly what happened. Listen, I am a haggler. I am not going to pay full price to nothing. I am going to get the fair value. So when I'm looking on eBay, all of these people, everybody and their mama thinks what they got is the best. Oh, this is some hidden treasure. Oh, somebody's going to pay me top dollar for this. No, there's a reason you're selling it. You either broke or you don't want it. So which one is it? And it might be both. I'm here to get that discount. So I emailed this guy. He has a 2015 autographed jersey patch, Justin Hardy, number 10 out of 10, and he wants $150 for it. And I sent this guy a very polite message that said, buddy, how many Pirates fans out there do you think there are? I'm the only person who has this card favorited and saved because I can see it. I said, go ahead. I said, I'll give you $25 for it right now. He wanted $150. It said $150 or best offer. I guarantee you it's the best offer. You ain't got another one. Nobody else wants the card. He reported me. I got an email from eBay that says I have been banned from messaging anyone on eBay for 15 days. Because well, sue me. eBay. I thought this was a way to find a deal, not a way to haggle somebody into submission. You think this is going to stop me? I'm going to make another account. I'm going to make 5 accounts. This guy ain't going to sleep. He's going to get so many messages from me. I'll give you $1 for it. I'll give you $1 for it. He's going to have to take it down. You might as well sell it at the swap meet because you ain't going to get no messages on eBay. And if you did, you wouldn't be able to see them because I'm going to lambast your inbox with so many fake eBay accounts that you won't know what to do. So eBay, you did me a favor. I didn't want this card, no way, but ain't nobody else going to get it either because I'm going to haggle this dude until he takes it off the site. So
what is he even holding on for?
Isn't there a thing called free speech? Can't you free message?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I guess he said
you can say it publicly. I mean, the websites have their own rules. You can't come into our chat and say certain things. We'll ban you there.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He said that I was hassling him. I said that I was haggling him. It's just a difference in 2 letters. That's all we're doing.
Pretty soon you'll find him in person. You'll be wrestling him.
I would be. Right? If I saw this dude right now, he was like, I would have thought better from a fellow pirate. I was like, well, then what are you selling the card for, Goober? You don't want it. You live in South Carolina. You in the worst Carolina.
He brings in
better from a
fellow pirate.
So if anybody wants to buy me a 2015 National Treasures Justin Hardy autographed college logo patch, number 10 out of 10 on eBay, or maybe message that guy and tell him to give me a deal, I would appreciate it.
I can't believe he snitched on you.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand that. Because anytime somebody asks me for a good deal on something like that, I'm just going to say, like, nah, I can't do that, man, but I can do this. That's how you haggle.
Okay.
That's how you get to a sale.
Real quick, though. You have come out here and said that you're haggling this guy, okay?
Okay.
It's listed for $149.99. I'm right here.
You done
right
found
now.
it out. You done found it
out. The question is, how low did you go?
He said 25.
I offered him $25.
That's what he said.
$25, yeah.
I missed that part of the story. Bro,
You don't be
cut
listening.
your ass
That's
off
how
too.
low.
man.
Come on, man. Come on. You got to start low. I'll meet in the middle.
He's a projected first rounder.
He ain't a projected first. He was at one point the leader in the NCAA career receptions, which was broken by Zay Jones, another East Carolina Pirate. Mike Matthews, it could have been you. So all I'm saying is, don't nobody want this Justin Hardy
No,
card.
my bad. This is Siobhan Revel. My bad.
Oh yeah, you looking at a good card. That's somebody. That's a good player. He's gonna be our first rounder since Chris Johnson.
Yeah, he is.
Hey,
But anyway, I can't message nobody on eBay no
I'm
more.
with you. I'm on your
The
side.
ECU to
Bert.
Titans pipeline, by the way, is something we've not discussed.
Pretty strong, man. You guys, who's the safety on the team right now?
Which
he
one?
got suspended for PEDs. What's that?
Oh my God, that's right.
Come on now.
They picked him up like mid-season.
yeah, from the Cowboys. Yeah, off waivers. Anyway, East Carolina. Do me a favor. Send me a card.
it's a nice card.
It's a cool card,
Julius
man.
Wood, who you're speaking
Julius Wood.
oh yeah,
Titans legend.
yeah. Saw him in the locker room the other day. Looks fine.
I used to
He
have
better be fine. He's taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Looks nice.
Actually, he looked pretty good,
I'm
man.
sure he's really recovered.
Looks like he's doing well. Had a smile on his face.
Hey!
Ron Slay has entered the studio.
Slay Dog has entered the building.
He has made it, sitting down in the orange chair,
Bert's story.
ready to go.
Oh yeah.
See?
No, yeah, Slay was in the car to hear Bert's story and to hear the Mike Matthews news, I would imagine, of him staying in Tennessee.
What up,
Yeah.
Slay is always tuned in.
What's up, Slay Dog?
What up, Will Lee?
How are you?
Oh, it's even
Bert.
better today.
Talking about the
Why
smoothie
would you
for
say
those
that? And I was
unfamiliar.
just about to say, hey, Bert, man, I couldn't get you today, Bert,
Oh, that's cool.
because that would have allowed me to have to be here at 9:30. But I did make a discovery.
Did you?
Ooh.
And my discovery is they just opened one right here in the Gorge.
Did they?
No.
Yeah, VUIS. I don't need no
Don't
free
even mess
advertising,
it
but
up.
I'm giving it to them.
Vuis.
Vuis. There
Yeah,
you go.
Vuis.
Yeah. There's a little juice bar.
It's
There's one
actually
right here.
V's.
Well, guess what?
Oh, sorry. I thought Breeze was. Yeah.
I lied.
Wait a second. I worked hard to get that
I know this one. I know this one. I know this
You
one.
just got to sound convincing.
That's stupid. You had me.
You get a lot of places.
You had me. But
You know I'm bad
they're
with
right around the
pronunciation.
corner now. So now I don't have to go out my way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I can go down the street and, you know what I mean? We get everything taken care of. But what's happening, y'all?
How are you?
What's going on? I feel like it's been a
It
minute.
has been a minute, KK. KK, how do you say your name?
Which one?
Now, I don't know what you doing moonlighting after dark or anything, but the one I know, your work name. Your work name. Kayla, how
See,
you
I
say
would
it?
have
You
named
know,
like
on TV
Diamond.
though, I'm joking, but kind of not in TV. A lot of people make up their names, like
no, I do know that.
to add more
No
spunk
question,
to
no
it.
question. Like
Obviously,
wrestlers.
mine's pretty boring. Kayla.
Okay, now I keep on hearing the big voice guy keep on saying Calla Anderson. So big voice
What
guy,
the
get
hell?
my girl name right, dog. I keep on like I done heard that
The
every
heck
day.
is Calla?
And every time I say, who is Calla Anderson? That's not her name. Her name is Kayla. That's why I was coming today. I was saying.
Thank you,
when I
Slay, for bringing this to my
No, I
attention.
got him. No, don't you worry about that. You ain't got to say a word. Big voice guy. Get her name right. He was
Facts.
saying somebody. He said something else. It was Vols at something at first. Yeah, like where you from, bro? Where this man from, man?
Don't get on that, Ron Slay.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Hey, guess what? I'm on it. I'm on it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
What y'all say on y'all? You got it, Rose. What on it, Rose?
Yeah. Right on top of that, Rose.
Right on top of that.
Yeah, that's that show.
I like it.
The greatest movie ever. Well, one of them. But what's up, Will Lee? What you
How
got
are you?
going on over there, dog?
Oh, just chilling.
Congrats, man. You a big hamer.
Thank you. Hey, we had a good time.
Yeah. Hey,
had a
next
really good
time,
time.
I'm gonna tell them too. Big Hamer, put some excitement in your voice when you're working with Will Lee. Big Hamer be monotone.
He
and
is one of
relaxed
the
whole
nicest
time.
human beings I have ever been
Without
around with in my
question.
entire life. I
No
love him.
question. That's my
Yeah.
dog, man. But Big Hamer, give some excitement. That's all I'm saying. You feel me?
We had a really good
Privileged
time.
to work with Will Lee. You
I know.
what I mean?
I know. You know what it's like to sit around a Tennessee practice and just talk with Rick Barnes.
Yeah.
And I know I talked about it the other day. Like watching his staff just run things.
It's serious.
And the level of trust that he's got with Rod Clark and with Coach Gainey and with Polinsky, like with all those guys, even down to my old track teammate Lucas Campbell for a couple weeks
Lucas
before
Campbell,
he left
good
us.
dude.
It's really, really impressive. They are a well-oiled machine, and he loves that team.
Yeah, he loves
Rick does,
to be
as
able
he
to sit
should.
back and manage. And that's why I think
100%.
it's always easier in this place where you don't have to do all of this. When you got NIL and all these things that's running coaches out, and people still wonder, like, why is Coach Barnes still in it? It's for this reason. Like, you got to be able to trust your staff.
It's a
You got
staff.
to understand that they're going to move on when a great opportunity comes for them to be a head coach, but you got to be ready to replenish the pantry or the cabinet or whatever. And he does that. You know what I mean? And he also allows them, hey, man, y'all go be y'all. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I need to come in with the iron fist, though, hold on. Everybody don't move. You know what I mean? Let me get to it. You know, but
100%.
it's all respect. And I think the players understand it, too. You got to allow coaches to coach. You know what I mean? If you're the player, I think that's one of the biggest things. So they do a great job of that. And it's understood walking into the program. There is no false narrative. There is no hiding or no sugarcoating or baking soda on it, to bring it back, make that thing jump back. You know what I mean? I just did it for my boy.
I know. I was like, jump back.
36 of them things. Hey, let's go. Here we go. We're right here, man. It's the first of the year, baby. And the sleigh ride rolling, man.
Yes,
That's all I'm telling my boy.
Hey, I will say, Slay,
What in the world?
when we talked with Chaz Lanier after the game, we did we do the interview after the game where the player of the game comes over to courtside and you talk about him, and I dapped him up. Was like, hey, I work with your guy Slay, and he's like, oh. That's my guy. This big smile. He lit up and was like, oh, you know Slay? Oh, yeah, I love Slay. That was it.
That's a little dog.
Nothing else
right
needed
there,
for that intro.
Yeah, that's my man, dog. Like it's fun to watch him, evolve into who he's evolved into and still be him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Still be the same old humble him, man, and it's good because you can't lose that.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Will said Coach Barnes, you said you had a conversation with him. He was just like, in the gym, why aren't we recruiting this guy?
Yeah. I asked him, like, what has it been like for you? How fortunate do you feel to have not only gotten such good on the court impacts, back-to-back seasons in Dalton and Chaz, but like guys who culturally fit who you are as a program? Like Chaz looks like a guy who's been in Tennessee's program, and it's not about me culture for 4 years. And he said, well, it's by the grace of God, I've got a staff that I walk in at the end of so many recruitments to where I'll point at a player that we're watching, and I'll say, why aren't we recruiting that guy? And my coaches will look at me and say, that guy can't play for you.
Yeah.
Said, no, that guy's not going to work in your program. And Rick told us, he's like, I am who I am. Like, this program is not for everyone, but we believe in what we do enough to double down on it and say, like, no, like, we're going to adjust. We're going to find talent. Like, we're going to do all these things. But you also got to have the right mentality. And he's found guys now back-to-back years in the portal who are instant impact on and off the court. I thought that was pretty cool.
And that's where you start to see longevity. And that's what you start to see around the SEC. I heard y'all talking about it when you see top-tier talent all the way down to the bottom. You see Vanderbilt making a resurgence with Byington. He 100%. Knows what he wants. You know what I'm saying? With James Mattis, he brought the same scheme over here. He went and got the same guys. And those guys fit for what he's trying to do at Vanderbilt around what allows those guys to get into. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get one in every, 3 or 4 recruiting classes that may be that guy, that Darius Garland or somebody like that. But for the most part, your foundation is these typical players that can get up and down the floor, play positionless basketball, can shoot the ball, can defend, and is not worried about the 5-star blue chip guy that's going to be able to vote. Yeah. And you know what I mean? You have success in that situation. Same thing with Todd Golden, Chris Beard. The reason they're struggling at Ole Miss because he hasn't been able to go get his guys that he had at Texas Tech, that he had at Texas. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to fill and plug away, but the list goes on and on. When you see longevity through someone or a foundation or a program, it's because you're able to go get the guys that fit what you're trying to do, and you're able to coach, and they understand what it is. It's a standard right there, and we're not going to bow and bend the knee to it, whoever you are. So that's why you see the success and even with Cal. Cal has a type of player that he goes get. Now, does it pay off in March Madness? No. But for right now, that's the guy. You can close your eyes and say, man, I bet Cal has this type of team. And you're probably going to be right if you watched him over the years. So, it's what it is, man.
Speaking of which, you're speaking about the standards and stuff like that. I brought it up a few times. I want to know your take because you're close to the scene. The Sankey having a Zoom meeting on Monday.
Man, you know what? I'm glad you hit on that, Savage. And guess what? I took some notes, man, because y'all had a couple of – y'all been balling.
Thank you.
First and foremost.
I know you wanted to get in on a couple things. So I was just going to give you the floor to do that.
I took some notes, man, because usually y'all have me riled up at 6 o'clock and I'll forget.
He has notes.
That's the goal.
I'll forget.
That's the goal.
This is awesome.
Man, by the time I get to 8:30, I'll be like, damn, what was I going to say?
That's true, though. Yeah. New Year's
You've already taken a power nap by
now. I just got to be on top of it. So you asked about that. This is what I was going to say. SEC coaching.
Yeah.
And Savage talks about it all the time. You got to be able to hold these coaches accountable. You know what I mean? Like, when you start to see a widespread in talent and going to other places because of NIL and because of the transfer portal, now it's no longer on, man, if we can just do enough to get right there and the war of attrition takes over, the talent will push us over the edge. That's not happening no more because your depth ain't there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when that corner goes down or that safety goes down or that tackle goes down and you got to replace them with another guy that was waiting for 2 years that's probably a higher pick than what he is. He just got seniority over him. You don't miss a beat. Now you're missing that beat because it's spread out. And you know what the SEC has been able to do? Go pluck from the hot coaches around the nation. This is in basketball or football or baseball. Whatever it is, when you see national championships won and always being right back out there, it's because the talent level is so deep.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily, you can kind of sit back a little bit. Now, you got to get out there and coach. Marcus Freeman, he went up the ante.
Sure did.
Right there, the boosters went up the ante, 20 million. It looked different. So you put a Chip Kelly with that, and you start to see, damn, so this is what elite talent look like when it's coached like this. That's why you gave so much praise to Saban. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason. You feel what I'm saying? When it's rolling, Urban Meyer ain't the greatest guy on earth, but damn, he sure know how to coach talent. He's shown it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that coaching aspect, you got to put that into it, and it got to weigh a little bit more now than just the talent being able to push you over the ledge. So is it a meeting that's going to be held? It may be a silent one.
Because he had one about y'all in the basketball.
Yeah, and you had to get right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think it's to that point, but the who bakes the cookies, who gets the dough ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're making the donuts, it's football. That's what it is in the SEC, and we're trying to get everything else up to that standard. But hell yeah, coaches, y'all got to do something. Y'all got to coach. Like Sark, we knew coming into this, Sark is a football mind. So what he's done coming into the SEC is not by surprise. He's not like, whoa, he planned this 2 years ago. He said, oh, we're getting ready to go into the SEC. I need to recruit like it.
Yeah.
So now you start to recruit like it. You to look at that's one of the only programs with depth when you talk about top notch, and they were still able to pluck from Alabama, from Georgia. You know what I mean? They put it on their roster, and those guys staying waiting. Now, can you replenish it? You got to continue to do this. So we're going to see.
Real quick
Coaches
question
don't notice.
on the note of coaching, and we had a conversation about Jalen Milroe entering the NFL draft and whether or not it was smart for him to do that. I'm curious on your perspective of that because coaching is part of quarterback development too. And I think right now quarterbacks could use as much development as they can get in the college ranks so that when they're in the NFL, I know it's a different level, but they're maybe a little bit more prepared and ready for the moment. Do you feel like Jalen would benefit from going and doing another year somewhere where maybe he could develop in a different way?
Yeah, I think, man, KK, it's on two different accords, man. It's what Jalen Milroe wants as far as jumping back in there. Can NIL, supplement what he thinks he would go get into the draft and look at the development of it? Or is the long-term goal to, be who I need to be the first rounder? I got that talent. Let me go back and work. Like, what are you looking for? You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say, hard to point at and say, man, yes, he can go on and boat and get to the league, or he can stay back and get a year development. Coaches got to win.
Yeah.
So we saw it with Malik Willis. I heard y'all talking about Malik Willis. We saw that with him and Hugh Freeze. Like, hey, man, I need you to win, dog. That first one ain't there. Go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe the setback was the flashes that we saw last year in him. We're bringing in DeBoer. Now we're like, oh, okay. Now he's really proving I'm a pocket quarterback. But when they were most successful was when he was using his legs. So, who knows, man? It's so much pressure on these coaches and programs to win that if I sit back and say I'm going to bring them in and develop them, I'm putting my life and my job and my family security on the line. Do I want to do that? Or do I want to say, hey, man, listen, dude, we got an opportunity to go to the national championship, dude. We just need you to be you.
Yep.
I understand after. Now, we're going to get you all the top-tier development and everything. But when it comes down to it, hey, dog, you're the best athlete on the field. You can still affect the game in college like that. If you got the best athlete, you can win a game.
Right.
And in the NFL, if you got the best athlete, it's still possibility that you can lose that game. Strong one, too. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot more of them. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't, man. That's a tough one. What you willing to put on the line if you the coach?
And when you develop some of those young players, you might be developing them to play for your rival in a year or two.
Or Deion Sanders.
Like Alabama developed Amari Jefferson this year, and he's probably going to be a Vol next year.
Yeah.
Man,
By the grace of God. Coming up, Toyota keys to the game. We'll preview Titans game one last time, and I'm going to let Ron Slay have the floor on our discussion about Rand Carthon and the Titans front office earlier this morning. That's next on RKW.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting, your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps, have they moved? Shifting concrete can create a dangerous situation and trip hazard around your home. It's also just a big eyesore. It's Ramon Foster. Whatever's going on with your concrete, listen to me. Call United Structural Systems. Ask them about the polyurethane foam injections. That's right. You've heard about USS for a long time. It's the same company that's provided superior foundation repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. They can also fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injection to lift and repair concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can also be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through that long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the people that I know and trust. You can simply go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com or call them at 615-488-7855.
Toyota keys to the game for the final time in Week 18 of the Tennessee Titans season are brought to you by your Middle Tennessee Toyota dealers, where you'll find more all-wheel drive and electrified hybrid vehicles than anywhere else. Come in for a test drive today. Toyota, let's go places. Ramon Foster, your keys for the Titans on Sunday.
Keep flip-flopping, baby. Keep flip-flopping. Put Put Mason in, put Levis in.
Oh, my gosh.
Put John Ojukwu in.
Old school Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, I think there's a player on the team named Hambright. Put him in at guard.
Arlington Hambright.
Yeah, like put them all in. Jeff, hey, you got in the centers? We'll put you in for a quarter. I'm going to be honest with you. Well, like 2 to 6 is significant. Only team that stops the Titans from doing what they want to do is the Giants or the Vegas Raiders. And one of them can leapfrog them enough to get the Patriots pick because Mayo needs a lot of players. Same as the Titans. At least get one of them if that's your goal moving forward. Flip-flop. That's the key to the game.
There you go.
That's dope.
Caleb?
For this game with the Titans on Sunday, I keep giving them the benefit of the doubt down the stretch to, pull off a victory, whatever. I just feel like you guys in this situation, the Titans, they're playing with what they have. Whatever's left on there in terms of, one more shot to go show what you have or young talent, we're going to play some younger guys. I think that Houston is still kind of wanting to go into the playoffs with something to play for and to kind of get some momentum. I feel like the Titans in the Love You Blues, well, I'd love to see them win.
Right.
I feel like they're just, overall, there's not enough consistency with this team with playing 2 quarterbacks or anything of the sort. So I feel like it's going to be Houston in this one. Low scoring. Give me 17-13 Houston.
Oh, we're talking about numbers too?
Oh, yeah.
Slay goes,
You don't get him from around me, man. It's been a while. Heck, I got the Texans going 30, Titans 13.
Okay.
I want you to say something crazy one time. Yeah, I got the Texans 42 and Titans 4.
I was going to say 6.
The Titans will pick up.
You ain't far off.
The Titans pick up the Titans pick up a 1-point safety and fall 17-1.
Sound like the team they play.
17-1. That's
By
right.
the way, did you hear Don's toast?
I was that was what I was going to say. Is my key to the game, in the words of Don Davenport, is wash away the chances of winning.
Yeah.
Proud of my girl.
Texans 28, Titans 10.
Will ain't far off.
Texans 28, Titans. Who cares?
Titans.
All right. I want to give Ron Slay the floor because you mentioned you would like to get in on the discussion we had this morning.
Yeah.
The SI.com piece that gave insight, but not really much insight into the job security of Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan and all of these different things. What did you want to react to specifically?
This is what I wanted to do.
Strike the match like
you know what I
Weezy
mean?
did.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I just let them know. Here I come, man. Hey, listen. This is the thing, dog. First of all, my key to the game is everybody come to the VIP Titans tailgate experience and have a ball.
You never lose.
No, the players too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. Y'all get there
Players
early
too
enough
go there,
where y'all can slide on
Pre-funk.
in. We get yourself together, you know what I mean? Then y'all can roll on out, do the red carpet into the stadium. Everything good.
Players too.
That's what I'm saying. It's right there, Dree. Hey,
2-tone blue carpet.
Man, but this is what I was saying with as far as that went, man, with the firing of everybody. What people keep failing to remember is this was terrible, everyone. Like, yes, I was on board with saying, yes, look at the roster, but I was also on board and saying all we are is one injury away from all of this falling apart. Plus, don't forget.
It's addition.
Yeah, Will Levis. It was a lot riding on their shoulders. Like, that's part of it. It is what it is. Now, this is what you got to understand, people. Titans fans, far and wide. To fire these people would be so goofy and so silly. Now, you got to understand this. I go to the recycle. I go to the recycling little place. What's the name of it, Drew? The recycle center.
The recycle center.
The recycle center. I go there every morning. And you know what they got outside of it? They got a sign outside of it. And the sign says, 1 trip per household. 1 trip, people. So listen, when you pull up, and just because you got multiple cars like Savage, listen, you do not get to pull up in the truck, and then pull up in the car, and then pull up in the van, and then pull up on the motorcycle, then pull up on the little scooter, and then everybody see that it's just a different car. When you get out, you still have on your same clothes and your same face. You didn't have a facelift. It's still the Titans household, people. It's going to take time. You don't get to keep making runs. They understand that this car comes from the same household. That same junk, sir, take it back. come back tomorrow, try to dump again. It's not going to happen overnight. You were in a hole, you're still in a hole. Just because there's flowers around the hole, just because there's some new, fresh Shiano around the hole, that don't mean that everything's about to grow like Bert's hair on his chest. It don't mean anything. What I'm explaining to y'all is be patient. You have to. And hell yeah, I'm going to be a fanatic again at the beginning of the season because it's 0-0. And then mid-season, if we stink, we going to stink again, and I'm going to say we stink. But you got to remember, if you trash this and you bring a new person into the house, they still got to go to that same recycle center, and guess what they got to do? Make one trip per day. It does not matter if they keep on switching. So everybody that's out there all alarm and saying fire people, fire this, after 1 year, you're foolish. And I wish I could come to your job and tell them to fire you. Because you keep on trying to make multiple trips and just put a different mask on. You know they got the little linen mask now that you can change people. You can be P. Diddy if you want to. And I don't think you need to be. I'm just saying that's neither here nor there. I'm just telling you, be patient, man. It's one trip per day going to the recycle center, folks. Do not keep on trying to go, because I'm going to be right there to tell you, take your trash back to your house, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll be open.
We'll be open. That's what you're saying about this whole cycle, right? You broke that down well. And Bert through that. Here I go.
I know. I love it.
I got he needed something.
Right?
Yeah, I lit the mic.
In the best way possible. I mean this in the biggest compliment. Every time Slay goes on a rant like that, I can't help but think about the Bernie Mac. I ain't scared of y'all. Does he just say it exactly how it is? Ooh, nothing. I ain't scared of y'all. Hit that music. Hit that music.
Give my theme song. I ain't scared of you.
Yep.
Real quick, Slay, on the way out. The SEC basketball. The SEC basketball is going to be so good tomorrow. Florida goes to Kentucky at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Central on ESPN.
Top 25 games straight out the gate.
Georgia, Ole Miss. There's 3 losses between those two teams. Arkansas at Tennessee. A guy named Jonas Adu makes his return that Tennessee fans will be ready to greet once again.
$1 million player.
Ranked Mississippi State team that only has 1 loss with South Carolina. Missouri's better. They go to the jungle to take on the second-ranked Auburn Tigers. Vanderbilt has 1 loss, and it's to Drake, who just suffered their first loss of the season. They were the 4th unbeaten team left, other than Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Florida. They're now no longer undefeated, but that's Vandy's 1 loss. They go to LSU. Alabama, Oklahoma, that's a top 12 matchup, and Texas A&M.
No, listen.
Dang.
I'm telling you.
If they don't win the Natty, if one of these SEC teams does not win the Natty this year,
guess what?
I'm going to be real mad.
That's where it all lies. You had to get to that point. We talked about it. Baseball wasn't to that point yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Until you started getting all these coaches in there, this influx of talent, then they started to be top tier. Mississippi State was winning. Ole Miss was winning the championship. Tennessee winning the championship. You know what I mean? Like, it's Florida right there contending. Georgia contending.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You have to automatically rise all the way up.
Races.
Now, basketball's done the same thing. So don't be surprised when it gets there. Alabama set the standard. That was the first time since Auburn got there that we had a team in the Final Four. Now you look up and you're like, damn, it's 3 teams that can legitimately go win
100%.
the national championship. Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, with Florida right there sitting in the car.
Yeah.
They already in the parking lot, just sitting there chilling. Is it my time to come in? They just waiting. I'm telling you,
waiting right outside,
man,
too.
It's crazy how it is,
right.
dog. And then this is the other greatest thing. At about 6 o'clock, I know we would have, ESPN would pick the games. So they pick Tennessee to play, Kentucky to play, you know what I mean, maybe a Florida here and now. Now it don't matter. So y'all
put it wherever you want.
So y'all think y'all giving us the game that ain't nobody gonna watch, and we got Texas A&M in Texas. Like, hell yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, I can be
It's a full day of hoops.
Man, I ain't got to sit back and be like, come on, Slay, keep your eyes peeled. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't watching no paint
They're gonna be
dry.
peeled for you.
Like, hell yeah, I'm with this, dog. I love this. That means Saturday gonna be fun. Them 12-hour shifts ain't gonna seem like 12 hours because it's 12 hours, but it ain't gonna feel like it. You know what I mean? My Celsius will be cut in between.
I love it.
It's on, man. We're
Real
gonna
quick,
good time
2 things real quick, though.
Talk to me,
Your
Savage.
girl, Miss
Yes.
Barb, said you going off, and she loves it.
Miss Barb, and I love you, Miss Barb. When I see Miss Barb, you know what Miss Barb do? Tip that head to the side because I want some of that neck. You know what I mean? I kiss Miss Barb right down that neck every time, boy. You hear me? That's my girl right there. That's a mother-in-law. Ain't nobody but a mother-in-law. Ain't nobody but
the mother-in-law.
Okay.
Second thing is, just because the Vols may drop one to anybody else in the SEC, that don't mean the world ended.
No, and guess what, everybody? They about to lose.
Right.
Like, if I'm
going
on Tennessee
undefeated.
through and through. Next week, they play Florida at Florida. It's going to be a battle. I think if I got to go put my money on something right now, I'm picking Florida. It just is what it is. And I love Tennessee to death. But, man, it's going to be a gauntlet. And guess what that'll be?
What that?
A quad one loss.
Yeah.
Ron Slade, Fridays here on RKW, weekdays on 3HL, and on your televisions on SEC Network and ESPN.
Okay, wait. Look at my
Thanks,
dog.
Slade.
Thanks, Leg.
I ain't even going to go there.
Buck Rising Show is coming up next.
Hey, y'all know how I go going into the weekend, man. Call somebody you ain't talked to in a while. Buy somebody a random drink. Have a random conversation. Apologize maybe to somebody you need to. But at the end of the day, Savage, your Twitter fingers.
Talk to me. Yo, Mike.
Always hot, baby.